works on Monday.
Yeah, that's fine.
So what it comes down to is that we're gonna have people that are traveling, and if there's not gonna be anybody traveling, then great, but lots of cities will end up having issues with people traveling,
Right.
and you end up with a difficulty getting a quorum. So if there's gonna be any holiday traveling during Thanksgiving week, then, you know, lots of times it makes sense just to plan on it not being there, but if you guys like to keep it open, keep it open.
I'm not traveling, so
Holidays.
holidays.
I have no plans. Easter Monday, the day after Easter, that's a problem with anybody?
Nope.
No.
That's not a holiday.
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
They don't
Easter's
celebrate history.
Well, they do Good Friday,
Yes.
but they don't, Easter Monday, they don't.
Some places do Good Friday, not everybody.
My wife works for the federal government. She gets Good Friday.
Yeah, it's a federal holiday, right?
But Easter,
So the day after Father's Day, anybody got an issue with that?
No. I think if it's a federal holiday, then I think we should, cancel or move that.
President's Day is a federal holiday.
So is, well, Martin Luther King, I mean, there's a lot of,
Yeah, January.
We're not meeting on Martin Luther King.
no, I know, I'm just saying, those, these are days that would impact you. So if we're talking about federal holidays, then yeah. We've got three that are listed up here on. here for
Labor
federal
Day,
holidays.
July 4th, and President's Day.
The second and the fourth Mondays, we meet with P and Z. So I'll talk to them and have them have a similar conversation. But if you guys are looking at canceling federal holidays, I'll tell them what you guys are doing and they may follow suit. So,
That would be my recommendation, we close on those federal holidays.
okay.
Not necessarily close, but not have our council.
Isn't Martin Luther King's Day, March 21st?
I think it's
Martin Luther is 17th.
17th of January, so next week.
Next week.
Okay.
Next Monday.
And a new federal holiday is Juneteenth.
That's right.
Yeah. And there are actually some of the cities in the area that actually celebrate Juneteenth and the following day.
So it's Friday this year, we're gonna celebrate the 17th. Friday instead of Sunday, the 19th. So federal holiday,
It's
and
Monday.
actually a holiday for us.
It's Monday, federal holiday's Monday.
Is it?
The 20th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Juneteenth, for some reason, it's a 2-day holiday, pretty much. Anybody that observes it, they're observing, most of them are taking the 19th and the 20th.
Well, the 19th obviously is a Sunday.
This time.
Yeah, so depending on which day they swing it, to the forward or the back. I'll update the list with federal holidays, and this is just discussion. I'll bring back the list for you guys, and this is what we'll update the calendar to reflect, in the next meeting.
So the 20th is actually a holiday for me then, because we're observing,
But the June 20th will be a federal
so that's a holiday for us.
holiday. It's the federal service of Juneteenth.
My company's now celebrating, observing, it's a brand new holiday, so they gave it to us. We now have 12 observed holidays.
Is there a problem with us meeting on Tuesday?
I mean, no, we can check things around. It's just, we have a meeting twice a month. And so if we know now at the beginning of the year, then we just build our schedule around this rather than trying to shove an additional meeting into that next week. So again, it's up to the council as to what you'd like to have happen.
So we canceled the 4th. And
So
you're saying
instead of canceling it, do you want to move it to Tuesday?
Which
So-
one?
any of them.
So July 4th, September 5th. Instead of just saying it's canceled, do you want to move it to the next day?
That's fine with me.
A lot of people travel.
Yeah, that's a big.
Yeah, the 4th, we're gonna be, I forgot, I'm sorry.
Federal holidays are 3-day weekends. You do get a lot of people that do late travel.
And just
a bunch of stuff.
summers, people travel
Let's
right
cancel that time.
I'd say cancel the 4th, yeah.
Yeah,
And the 5th, but move the 20th to the 21st.
20th, June 20th?
Yeah. Move that to the Tuesday.
on February 23rd.
So February 21st, July 4th, September 5th. Cancel those meetings and move June 20th to June 21st. Is that what I hear?
No, we're not canceling February.
It's not President's Day?
Well,
So we said we're
Could
going
we
to
move
cancel.
it to Tuesday as well?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I'd say move it, but
People's schedules flexible now.
Well, the thing about it is, so depending upon how it works out, if you guys would like to have the city attorney here, generally what they do is they swap, and that's why most councils will cancel it, because they'll swap in, this is our council meeting timeframe. If we call it for a special meeting, then we work out the schedule with them, but if we start shifting things around, it can sometimes make it difficult for us to get the whole team here. So honestly, if we do it now at the beginning of the year, it's probably not that big of a deal, but, that's why we want to try and get it.
They could have another city council meeting at night.
Well,
Yeah.
I think,
This is the first thing I've ever
Tuesday nights are predominant nights where most cities are having council meetings.
Every city I've ever lived in, it's always been Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I think we need to hopefully get away from having the need of attorney here most meetings.
I agree with that.
I don't think that should be an impact. If there is an issue that needs, then we just won't have that on the agenda for that Tuesday.
Okay.
I agree with that. No offense to the attorney.
Oh, so shift February 21st, shift, June 20th, and then cancel the other two.
Independence and Labor Day, yeah.
Okay.
All right, the next item is discuss the strategy, the city strategy on establishing a new Fairview resident internship. Ben, you can finish on that one.
So this is actually something that came up in a prior meeting, it wasn't on the agenda, so they asked to have it placed. I think Scott was the one that initially said, let's talk about it, and Julie said, yeah, let's have a conversation. So I put it back on the agenda for the council to kind of discuss. This is something that actually kind of ties into the strategy on a page that the council had been working on for this last year, was creating opportunities to help educate people in the community, do something of that nature, understanding that it requires resources. So if somebody wants to come in and learn how to use our software, we have to purchase another license because we can only install that software on 2 systems or 3 systems. So if we have to incorporate that, there will be some costs associated with it in addition to the time associated with that type of thing. So this is for the council to discuss and then to provide feedback on how they'd like to see that worked out, and then we can come back with a plan.
Do you have the strategy on the page?
Uh-huh.
Put up there? I didn't know y'all did that. I assumed that was done at that retreat.
No, this was something that the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council worked on for months.
Intern gonna do?
What's the what?
Intern, what are they gonna do?
Well, that's the conversation.
Yeah, it is kind of the conversation. So the original conversation, and I'll just start it off here, was Miss Julie, not Julie,
Thatcher,
thank you.
Anna Thatcher.
Anna. Miss Anna had mentioned that she had time and was willing to donate that time to the city to learn parts of the city software and the city structure.
I think the majority supported her too. So
Well,
why was there an issue? Why is there an issue?
because we haven't made that position. The city council doesn't have that position as a current position in the city. And so the discussion is, what we need to talk about is resources allocated to that. How much do we want to put into that? What's the duties? What would this person do? Those questions you asked to begin with, right there. So what would this person do? How much are we willing to put on this? Because obviously someone has to train them and then oversee the job they're doing when they're in the office. How much access do they get to the city documents, all of that other stuff. So if the city wants to create a position like this with an internship for a citizen, then it's something we have to create.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason we were talking about it is because we needed it. Do we need it? If we're gonna, I don't know, where is the status on hiring the secretary? Do we know that?
She
There's a
had
request.
a lot of, Ms. Thatcher had a lot of related experience. And she volunteered to come up here for free.
Because we needed the help.
Yeah, but I don't expect anybody to come up here for free. So,
Well, but it's not free to us. If somebody comes and stands in the office area for 8 hours, somebody's gotta chaperone them, somebody's gotta teach them what they're doing. It costs the money, it costs the city, excuse me, money to do that. So that's one of the thoughts. The other thing is, what would they be doing? But Julia, my first question was exactly that. Where are we on is that something we can talk about in the work session? Where are we on our advertisement of the city position?
We're exactly where we said we were going to be. We're going to be accepting applications through February 5th. So at this point, we have 3 or 4.
So we do have applications. Okay.
What's the deadline for hiring?
Well, February 5th is when we close the applications. If we have enough quality applications for the council to say, hey, we think we can move forward from here, then we'll close it. If we don't, you guys would like to see some more, then we would potentially extend the application timeframe and go forward from there.
so the advertisement is for city secretary, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I guess, part of the conversation. Go ahead. Okay, well, I guess that's part of the conversation. When I asked this to put back on the agenda, it looked like there was some,
Is there a need? Does the city need it?
I don't think so at this point.
Well, I mean, from standpoint of posting continuing education opportunities or activities, it's one of the things that you could align with what the council previously said they would like to accomplish by helping to educate people in the community. At this point, are you saying, is this a person, using Anna for example, there's nothing that we could take Anna and plug her into where she would be, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but she would not be a true value add at this point. You'd be making a larger investment into the person process than you'd be pulling out of value. It would cost us more than we would be getting.
Why do you think she would not be an asset?
Because there's nothing that she could step in and do right now, that she'd be able to. So right now, if she's on the phone answering a phone call and somebody calls in and says, hey, I need this, she doesn't know the answer. She doesn't know necessarily where to find the information. We're working on getting all that systemized. If you see on our website, you'll see that the code of ordinances has now been updated and is now available on our website. So that makes it easier for people. We can refer people there and do stuff along the lines. But honestly, there's just not a lot of things right now that we have within the city that she could just step in and pick up and start doing. We have to teach her and train her.
It's kind of limited to direct city applications. So,
What do you mean direct city?
well, she hasn't done any city work.
Well,
That's pretty much the case with any job. When we first come in, there's always a learning
Correct.
curve. 100% of the time.
Even if we hired somebody who's got the experience, initially, there's a ramp up time, which is why, a lot of organizations really work to retain. For a frontline employee, the HR industry states that you can look at, or you can anticipate spending about 50% of their annual salary on recruiting the position and then training them to get ready to take that job and run with it. For a position at a department director level or a senior level, 100% of their annual salary in the cost of recruitment and training to get them up and running. Most positions, they'll anticipate somewhere between 12 to 24 months before that person is actually, as they would say, a truly productive
Right. Their
individual.
production outweighs their cost.
Because there's a certain amount of time of getting in and understanding what the processes are, where all the information is, to the point where you have that.
So this, if we were to bring somebody in, their title is gonna be what?
You would
Intern?
have to come up with that. This is something that's new that the council kind of,
The council has to create a position. We have to say, yes, we want to do this. Here's what we're willing to invest in it. And here's the boundaries of what we think it should be. So what would this person do? What would they be called? how much access do they have, who's gonna oversee it, and what would their, I already said that, what would their duties be?
If memory serves, I think that we were starting to talk about this because things weren't being able to get done. We had citizens running computers and things weren't working, so if that's all corrected itself, if there's not a need for it, do we need to do it? Or do we need an intern? Is it something that the city needs right now?
Well, we can create the position and then fill it when the need arises.
For someone that has to have, that's part of my job title, I have an intern at all times, I would wish that on nobody. It's a pain in my butt every day. It's 20% of my time is just wasted.
I mean,
I hate
right,
interns.
Are they valid for training then?
Yes, every day because I have
But
this.
once they're trained, it's useful. I mean, we have an intern, do we not?
Yeah, and for me, they don't, we train them and then they go home. I don't get them for a semester, so I don't ever.
Spend your time training.
Yeah, and then I get a new one, and then I get a new one. I hate it.
yeah. And in all honesty, Salvador, the only reason he's here right now is because we do need some additional help, and he has stepped in and filled the gap. At the point that we,
Well, his background and training is in city administration, so
absolutely.
he knows what the big picture looks like.
And so, you know, with him having been here for for months and have been working with Monica on records retention, and been working with other people on different projects that we were already doing, he's well suited to step in when we were needing help to step in and do that. So, you know, his internship finishes officially at 440 hours. He's well beyond the 440 hours. We're now into his extended internship where he's stayed on and helped us out because he would like to have an opportunity to step into a role at some point in the future. before
Are
he
we
becomes available.
compensating him at 100%?
We compensate him at $12 an hour.
Does he get,
No benefit, he's not benefits eligible because he's a,
does he get something from the college?
oh, no. So part of
His total compensation from us is $12 an hour.
correct. And as part of his program, he's required to go out and obtain an internship for 440 hours. He can't graduate from his program without going out and doing
He
an
gets
internship
credit,
like
college credit for this internship.
Well, so if he's already done that, what advantage is it to him to stay?
because he would love to, I mean, honestly, right now, he'd love to step into a position and continue working with the city. And I will
Do we
say,
need it?
well, I mean, we're going through the city secretary hiring process. So as we get to the other side of that hiring process, we're gonna have to have a conversation about what it looks like. But right now, you know, I don't speak Spanish, unfortunately. Something is my goal this year to try and pick it up and start learning it. Salvador, we'd be lost with 30% of the people that walk in our door right now because about that many of the people.
So what role would we put him in? What is the city needing besides a secretary?
So at this point, we don't have anything defined for him above and beyond. We've tasked him
I'm
with,
not saying like to put him in a role. I'm saying just without him aside, what are we needing?
well, him aside, we need a city secretary. It's
I know
it's a
we-
role that we're gonna
yes.
fill.
Yes, besides the city secretary that we're looking for, what else do we need?
So do you need a clerk?
At this point,
But there's-
what I would, and what I have using him as an intern is Brooks monitoring in there to see if there's people online.
Well, I want to score the football game.
Oh,
As I recall, I did this for you last
I'm
week.
trying to get through this quick.
so,
I agree with him.
he was working on special projects. So the implementation of that software application, he's kind of spearheaded that. And that was what we hired him for initially as part of his internship, was to go
Oh,
through.
my gosh.
So as part of his
10 minutes.
program here, he's learned he had to go through all of our ordinances. He had to do a process map of what is all the permitting.
I understand that, he's
So-
doing, but is there a role that we need to fill? What does it say, what staff?
At this point, I don't have a position defined for him
Okay.
because I had not considered.
Well, he's got a title.
Well, he's an intern.
He's got an internship title. He's a management analyst intern. That's his title.
And he's willing to stick around, and so apparently we continue to use his efforts for $12 an hour. It's a steal.
Correct.
And
Unless you're
I
going to
believe that, how many hours a week,
translate to Spanish.
how many hours a week does he work?
20 to 40 hours, depends on the week, how we need to have those.
So once we have a city secretary, is there any other positions that we need to have?
No, we haven't defined any at this point. So what we've built into this year's budget is some additional interns, which will be working with us as we go through this.
Oh, well, then we're gonna be getting additional, I guess we have to have an internship program.
So this was a residential internship. The internships that I'm talking about are part of the strategy on the page that we did, and that UNT service learning project. We're gonna have an intern in each of those courses. So those have already been defined. We already know what they're gonna be working on, and those projects are different than this residential internship
Citizen intern.
program that Scott had brought up in that previous meeting.
I guess I'm still trying to figure out if we need it.
This was not staff driven, so if you ask me, no.
What do you
I
all think?
not.
Okay, so
at this point.
what does the council think? Do we need a citizen intern?
I think not, because to me, it's a waste of money.
So what do you think?
I think it's a good decision, it's his office.
What do you think?
Well, I think we certainly need the position. So if a need arose, suddenly, then we can appoint somebody without having to have another meeting.
Can we do that?
If you guys tell me to go back and write a job description for a residential internship program, I can come back with a draft for you guys to review, and you guys can look and say, yes, we think that that'd be a good idea for us to put into place and run with it. But again, at this point right now, it's kind of a shot in the dark as to who's going to apply and what do they have. The reason why.
Well, we already have a volunteer. Ms. Thatcher.
I did that, and usually, so like in every
Unless she
other
gets
city
hired as a
I
secretary.
work with, you have a volunteer coordinator that coordinates their activities, and there's going to be some type of a description as to what you do. They work at the museum, they work at the Parks and Recreation, they work at the library, and you define clearly what it is that they're going to do, and most of them, it's something that they are interested in, that they've got a love or desire to do, and they're coming in because they want to help out the community. Ms. Thatcher she wants the city secretary job. And training for city secretary job is not something you do necessarily in a short period of time. It's a long,
So 2 years.
it's a process. So I wouldn't say setting up a residential internship to create a city secretary would be a great process. Would we be better off going out and finding somebody like Salvador that's wanting to move down this path, that's already started the process, and bring somebody like that into that type of a role? They're going to add value to the process much sooner than we would if we went another direction. So you guys tell me kind of what you'd like to do. If you'd like me to come up with some type of a description of what a residential internship could look like, I can come back with some ideas and thoughts for you, and you guys can look at that.
That's going to make sense?
Yes.
Come up with a
Yes.
description?
So I asked for this to be on there, and I've done a lot of digging and thinking about this, and again, it's Ben's office, and I don't see where you have use other than to spend more resources at this point, resources we don't have to create this position. So I'm kind of,
What you said, that resources we don't have, that's gonna be a big issue for this. You say we don't need the person, or we don't need the
No.
position?
I don't think we need a position to eat up resources at this point in our.
How is the position gonna eat up resources?
Because they're saying it's gonna take time away from everybody else to train this person.
Right, so. you're-
That's
What Steve's saying is create the position.
Yes, I'm not saying
Not
hire
fill it,
somebody.
not fill it with a
Yeah,
body.
yeah.
Just have the position,
Yeah, just
with the
position.
job description defined.
He said he
so
would come
that-
up with a
So
description.
that when you want to hire
Yes,
somebody,
yes.
bring somebody in
So
that
we would
position,
be
you got to prepare.
proactive.
And at some point, maybe not in my lifetime, but at some point, there's probably gonna be 10 employees in that office. When we get to 20,000 rooftops.
Right.
In the city. Not now, but it's gonna be.
It's coming.
So we could have a whole bunch of interns. So yes, we need
Okay,
the position.
I Guess there's no harm then.
And that's fine. I'll work on that. I've got it written down here. We'll put this back on a future agenda and, put together some, a draft for you guys to review.
Okay,
The next one is to discuss the University of North Texas Service Learning Project and the city's comprehensive plan update process.
So this is something that was, part of that strategy on the page as well. In the last budget session, the council actually appropriated $45,000 towards this project. We have identified the partners in relationship with the university. They've established 3 master level courses, which will be focused strictly on working with the city of New Fairview. They've got 2 partners that they're bringing to the table as well. Ash and Line, it's a planning and kind of a planning company, much like Dunaway is, that we work with out of Dallas, and Carroll Group. And they're going to be working with the students, and they're going to be working with us on helping to navigate the process of coming forward and working and updating those comprehensive plans. And then in addition, we've got one bachelor's course, which is going to work on the marketing components of it. So the brand management of the city, what does that look like? All in, we'll probably have 200 students that will be focusing time and effort, which is why those internships are going to be built into this as well. That class, each one of those classes will have an internship where they're going to kind of act as the liaison. They'll be working with me, and it is a lot of time on my part as well, because part of the agreement as the service learning project is, we get access to the university, we get access to their resources, the people that are there, their professional planners, people.
Class.
And that teacher is going to be Ashton Line. He is a adjunct professor. His full-time job is actually working out, doing planning and doing comprehensive plans and stuff of that nature. He's coming to the classroom to teach them this, and this is his opportunity to teach them in a real-world environment. So we're going to end up with a fairly detailed, very good quality comprehensive plan for a fraction of the cost of what it would be if we were to go out to Ashton Line or to Dunaway or HAP or any of these other places.
It become a school class project.
It's a service learning project. So we're going to end up with a good quality project, which is going to have a number of consulting firms that the university brings to the table. Our consultants in Dunaway are going to work with it as well. Matter of fact, when I talked to Barry about it, he was pretty excited. He said that he needs to hire some entry-level employees, and this gives him an opportunity to work with these students and to be able to basically try them out before you go out and hire them. So it's a good opportunity for all the people that are going to be coming to the table to work on it.
so that $45,000, that's not a yearly cost, that's total, one time.
Yeah, so that's the cost of the project from, and we're gonna finish this out in 2022 is the plan. So classes start in 10 days. As soon as the classes start, I'll be going out to the University of North Texas to meet with the students. I'm meeting with Rick tomorrow, I believe, to kind of outline what we're going to be looking at, what the course curriculum looks like, and what the deliverables are going to be. They'll be coming out probably monthly to do updates to the city council. So you guys are getting updates, and it also gives the students an opportunity to present before it's something that they're going to have to get used to and understand what that process looks like. So you're going to be keeping apprised of the situation through updates and presentations. But yeah, it's going to be a fun project, actually. They're going to do 4 to 5 community outreach events. We'll start them on Thursday and run them through Sunday. We'll have students here. You'll notice there's a bunch of desks in my office. Those desks are basically mobile so that they can come in here, set up, and they'll be working in different parts of the city hall. We're gonna have a lot of people out here working on the project, and it's gonna be a great opportunity for the city and also for the students.
So it's gonna cost the city $45,000 for the year?
Correct. Over the course of 2022, we'll spend $45,000.
This is already been, advised, already voted on there.
Yep.
This is a done deal, this is just an update.
Yeah.
And that's probably about 20% of what.
Yeah, I mean, when we did this, it was $350,000 in Westlake. In Ennis, they did it. It was $280,000.
So the topics for these 4 classes,
Uh-huh.
so the topic is branding.
So there's going to be future land use component to it. There's
Okay,
gonna
that's
be-
all I'm proactive on that one.
There's gonna be, parks, component to it, open space, parks and open space type of a component, trail system, transportation, economic development, emergency management. It's gonna be comprehensive, so it's gonna
Okay.
have, the finished document will probably be 250 to 300 pages long, and it's gonna really kind of go through. There'll be a number of scenario planning, so, what does it look like if you develop this way? What does it look like if you develop this way? What does it look like if you develop this way? And then while they're going through that process, we've got another, Tyler is an intern that we're working with as well already, that is working with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they're gonna be going through an update on the development and the
Future.
sorry, this COVID, I had COVID last week, all good now, tested negative twice, but, what are they called?
Future state plan?
It's going to be combined into a UDO, but it's composed of the, planning ordinances and then also the zoning ordinances. So those two ordinances are gonna be worked with to bring them together and come up with the unified development ordinance. So as the P and Z goes through and updates these ordinance, we're gonna be bringing those forward to the council. That's gonna be incorporated and tied into so that the comprehensive plan is clearly aligned with what our planning ordinances and our zoning ordinances are.
Cool.
Any thoughts, discussion?
No, I think it's interesting. All that work would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I'm kind of excited to see the finished product.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what comes out of it. Comprehensive plan is just, we've struggled with that for years. And Joe Max, I know that I have stated that for years. We need to really work on that. We can't stand on anything if we don't have a comprehensive.
Any other thoughts? If not, we'll go on to the next work item. Good. Item E, let's discuss the paid holiday provisions of the council adopted by the personnel policy. We have that policy. Right now, it's 10 days?
Yeah,
10 days. And these are the cities and county around us and what they're getting right now.
Well, the list you sent me, I believe it was 15 days.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the, if
state.
you look at the state, they got all kinds, Jewish
Block paid
holidays,
holiday.
Catholic holidays.
Well, I was asking what this city observed. How many does this city?
10.
10. And what are they?
That's a magic question.
Well, majority of them are 14th of the year, so it's Thanksgiving and the day following Thanksgiving. It's Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It's New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. 4th of July, Labor Day.
Why is it?
There are two other federal holidays that the city.
Generally, there's 3 or 4 in between Christmas and New Year's that in the professional world, that's what we do, but.
But that's not public money. You work for a corporation, that's private money.
Right.
They can give you 50.
Well, I get 11 days and it works out that way. So if we got 10, there's.
But again, that's not public money. We're spending public money.
There was some
So
question.
let me ask what your point is, Steve. I'm just telling you that apparently we observed 10 days from what he just said. All these cities observe those. I'm in the private sector and I get 11 days. So basically what he named, I understand we're spending public money here. That's what we're going to discuss.
So some of the cities that I went and looked at was just the ones around us, but the common days between the two was President's Day,
MLK.
Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving and Christmas.
2 days from Thanksgiving.
And two days on each Thanksgiving.
And New Year's. Because New Year's.
Christmas
is
Eve,
federal
Christmas.
holiday.
Right.
That's 8 days.
And then New Year's and
And New Year's.
There you go.
Okay. So those are the one, that's one with Justin that I looked at specifically, just right around this. But they, you know, like Rome takes off MLK Day. They take off Columbus Day. Justin, they take off,
Indigenous Species Day.
Justin takes off Good Friday. Some of the differences. So it's kind of an individual.
Well, there's other cities that do 10 days and they do 8 days and then they do 2 floating, they'll give them 2 floating holidays so they can take their birthday or their anniversary. So it really is dependent upon the city as to what they would like to observe and how they want it to come.
This is the state recommended, or not recommended, but
Observe.
observed
Well,
holidays.
some of those-
You can see, that's a big list.
I know, and some of them were asinine. But one was the day before Christmas, and the day after Christmas.
Well, how about Confederate Heroes Day?
Well,
I think that this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess this got brought up because we were getting multiple messages about people trying to
yes,
come here and
people
nobody was
saying,
here. They didn't
I
know
went
why
to the
wasn't
city,
here.
I called the city, and there's nobody there.
So I think
Yeah,
that,
well, I'm sorry.
no, you go ahead.
No, I was just, you know, pulled up the camera and looked, just to make sure people were here, and they were here, so.
The day between Christmas and New Year's, how many days was somebody here?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're closed Thursday and Friday.
Now Salvador was out, because he
Why,
was sick
why,
that
why
week.
aren't we gonna be closed? The actual holiday was Saturday.
Because we observe, so if the holiday falls on a weekend, then it's observed either the day, the
Right,
week
or Monday.
before or the week after.
You said 2 days before.
No, so we have, the policy that the council adopted was to observe New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So we said
2 holidays.
Thursday and Friday are gonna be the days that those 2 are observed. It could have been Friday and Monday, but it made more sense to do it on a Thursday and Friday.
But if a holiday is on a Sunday, you get Monday. If a holiday is on Saturday, you get Friday. You don't get 2 days before or 2 days after.
You do have 2 days are involved in the holiday.
Yes, the policy.
For Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's.
There's 2 days. 2 days.
So Thanksgiving is
But
Thanksgiving. and
you
the
said 3. You said Thursday, Friday, and the holiday was Saturday.
We don't
We're
work
not
on Saturday.
working on
Saturday.
So you get Thursday, you either get Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Monday.
Correct.
You get 2 days.
No,
Yes.
no. No, I don't know anybody, not even the post office, gets the day before and the day after a holiday.
They do.
No, they don't.
That's the list that you were looking at.
No, they don't. The post office does not. The federal,
This is a state and the federal, there's.
Yeah, they have more than
I
the
didn't
state.
put
and you don't get the day before and the day after a holiday. I work for
I get New
AT&T for
Year's Eve,
25 years.
I get a holiday for
Day
New Year's
before,
Eve,
day after.
and I get a holiday for New Year's. So I get 2 days around the New Year's Eve. So if New Year's, which it was on Saturday,
Yeah.
then,
The day
then
before.
I got Friday and
That's
I
right.
got Monday.
What?
I got Friday for New Year's Eve.
That's ridiculous.
Steve, listen to me. I got Friday for New Year's Eve, and then I got Monday for New Year's Day.
That's ridiculous.
You work for wrong
Yeah.
country, Steve.
It doesn't matter and what, how these holidays fall back to back for 2 days or 3 days, whatever. They get 10 days for the year. So our job now is to figure out what 10 days are they going to get.
Right.
Well,
Or do you want to have 10 days? I mean, ultimately, that's the council's.
10 days is adequate, that's okay, that's within the average, but if you're gonna get the day before, Christmas and the day after Christmas,
We don't get the day after Christmas. We get Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And then we get New Year's Eve and
Unless-
New Year's Day.
that's not what you said Thursday, Friday.
Let me clarify that. So if it falls on a weekend, then you get either get the day before and the day after that weekend.
Right.
New Year's Eve was Friday, I have never heard of that in my life.
That's very
Welcome to the real world. I did. We got Thursday, Friday, both weeks.
It's the same
Thanksgiving.
It's the same thing they do in.
Yeah, for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. I got 2 days, Thursday, Friday, Thursday, Friday, Thursday.
See, you have to get paid for your holidays, and the way you do that is you're off work on those days.
On a working day.
Yeah. So if it falls on Saturday, then you have to get your 2 holidays in somewhere. So Thursday, Friday is where you take it.
But why are you saying 2 holidays?
Steve, let me pose this another way. If you're good with 10 days,
So,
Yes.
just
Okay.
real quick,
So-
so I wrote a list, here's 9 holidays. There's the 2 around Christmas and the 2 around New Year's. So Memorial, Labor, July 4th, 2 days of Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, that's 9 holidays.
And I think we get Memorial Day. And
So-
then,
so I put
or
Memorial,
Labor Day.
and I put Labor Day.
Oh, okay, we wanted to.
So there's still 9, but so you got 1 you can float around.
so what if we were to name, okay, there's 10 holidays, we agree with that. 2 of them are floaters. They take it for their birthday, or they can take it the day before Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, the day after Christmas.
We call that a designated holiday.
We can't really do that because we're gonna have the office be closed.
Correct,
We
and
don't
that's
have
the
the staff.
difficulty, that's the difficulty that we have, so the,
Well, if they were floaters individually, we
Yeah.
don't understand.
Well, every year you plan
You'd have, somebody have to be here.
the reality is most cities take those 2 days before Christmas, the day of Christmas, Thanksgiving and New Year's, because most organizations close down. So the city hall is pretty quiet. So if you're gonna give holiday, it makes sense to give holiday time when they're not gonna be busy up here at City Hall. If we put somebody up here the day after Thanksgiving, they're not gonna be on call.
No, and
And if you put somebody up here on.
everybody does that.
You're not.
Thanksgiving, Fridays for Thanksgiving, everybody does that.
So,
What y'all are saying about the day before and the day after a holiday, I have never heard that in my life.
We didn't say the day before the day.
Yeah, you did.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Christmas Day was on Saturday, so you back that to Friday, and then you take Thursday.
Nope.
No, you take Friday and Monday.
Nope. If a holiday's on Saturday, you get Friday. If holiday's on Sunday, you get Monday. That's everywhere. That's everywhere.
but
Get 2 days for that holiday.
But see, what they
That's
define,
the same thing.
what they decide is there's 2 days of holidays that are consecutive. So if the holiday falls.
What
on-
holidays? Christmas and New Year's are not consecutive holidays.
No, Christmas Eve is defined as a holiday by the city. The city's defined that as a paid holiday. The city defined Christmas as a holiday. So if Christmas Day falls on a Saturday, then it comes back to a Friday, which means that,
New Year's Day comes back to Thursday.
Christmas Eve goes a day earlier.
yeah, it both go back a day earlier. You just shift it to Thursday and Friday, essentially.
Okay, I'm gonna research and I guarantee you there's no cities out there doing that.
Well, I put the list on here, I can show it to you. Most of these that you're seeing on here are doing the exact same thing.
They take
They take.
3 days for every holiday.
No,
It is, it's 3 days, it's 3 days.
Just
Well, if a holiday's on Saturday and you take Thursday and Friday and a holiday Saturday, it's 3 days.
They don't do the holiday on Saturday.
Holiday.
They got paid extra days, yeah.
Saturday,
They
Saturday.
got paid
They
Basically,
didn't
that's
get paid
what-
for Saturday.
for one holiday. They got paid.
They didn't get paid for Saturday.
For one holiday. Well, it's still.
So ultimately, are you guys comfortable with 10 days?
Yes, sir.
So if you're comfortable with 10 days, do you care when those days fall? Or do you want us to make it work where it is the least impactful to the city?
That's at least impactful for our citizens.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're the
The
ones
city.
that were online saying
And that's,
nobody's there.
and that's what we just wanted to clear up for the citizens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the mayor reached out to me that week and I sent him back the video for the screenshots of the video footage. People were here, we were not closed.
So the Wednesday before Christmas, we were open all day.
I said we closed a little bit early at the end of the day. So the thing about the Wednesday, we posted it and we put a note on the door. We put it on Facebook. I mean, we could sit there and continue to do that.
But that's the problem.
Right.
This was not
Thank you.
publicized well at all.
No,
There's last minute publication for Christmas, 0 publication for New Year's.
right,
And that was, New Year's was a problem.
right.
So you need to have something on the door, something on Facebook and something on the website.
So New Year's, we were here until 5 o'clock on Friday.
No, you weren't.
No,
New Year's Eve?
no, because I
Not
even,
New Year's Day, I'm saying that week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We were there,
You were not here Thursday and Friday.
No,
we were not here Thursday and Friday.
That's always gonna
But
be.
that's a holiday.
But,
Oh, I understand what you're saying. You're saying do a better job of,
yeah.
okay.
and you just said you closed early Wednesday, and people.
Wednesday on before Christmas Eve.
I understand. People didn't know you were closing every Wednesday. So some of the backlash came
Exactly.
to some of our citizens
Huh?
that why aren't they open? We're up there. We need to do this. I was getting phone calls. So I came personally myself and I can tell you that you were not open. Now we want to, not we, citizens, the citizens want to know. Did they get paid for that day? Is that something that you just decided?
They got, on New Year's Eve, on the Wednesday, New Year's Eve, they took vacation time. I said,
The whole office?
the people that have it available to them, so that would be Brooke.
So we, I think, need to not just decide, okay, last minute, everybody's gonna take vacation, we're gonna lock up and leave,
Well,
because the citizens
yeah.
didn't know, and that's not a way to run a city.
So I get where you're coming from, and we can do a better job of communicating to you. I can tell you though, on the Wednesday before, we did not receive any calls. We did not have any visitors coming up to our door to knock on the door to come in and do anything. They were catching up on existing work and everything of that nature. So at that point, when people are not coming up here and doing it, and
Well,
He said that the
Julie and Stephen and myself all saw the same post. That I called to.
I saw the same thing.
And nobody answered.
And if you want to send me the phone number that they called
They're
from,
listening right now.
Rudy, send me your phone
It's
number.
not Rudy, sir.
Oh, well,
That's an
that
actual
was the post that I saw, was for Rudy. If you want to send me your phone number, I can look and see what the call was made, and I can look at it. Just because a phone call was not picked up at that time, does not mean there was not somebody in City Hall. Salvador was out here the day where a lot of people were saying nobody's at City Hall, is because Salvador's car broke down, and he took an Uber out here. So he was sitting in here in the City Hall office.
Was that the Wednesday before Christmas?
I don't know, I have to look at it.
Okay, so we're
And then
talking about the
Monday-
Wednesday before Christmas and the Thursday, no one
It
was
could
here.
be, because he was out sick the week between
No, and then it
Christmas
was-
and New Year.
And then Monday, they lost power up here. So they were up here sitting around and not able to do anything. And so I did send them home. I said, go home. If you can work from home, work from home. And then we posted on Facebook and other means saying,
That's
hey.
Monday, we power for 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
So there were times where we did that type of stuff. So yeah, New Year's week, we were here from 9 a.m. until noonish when they lost power, and we were told they were gonna take 3 to 4 hours for it to get turned back on.
Those,
Say
the
4. but-
text I had said it'd be 4 hours.
Right, it said it would be
So,
4.
so to be clear, if a holiday, Christmas, New Year's, is on a Friday, then that ought to be the day you get off, the only day you get off.
So you're wanting to pay 48 hours in that pay period versus having.
48.
Well, so if they come into work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then.
Get 8
all the
hours.
calls on Saturday, but you've given them 2 days.
I didn't say Saturday. I said if a holiday's on Friday.
Okay,
Holidays on Friday, then you get off the day before and Friday. There's 2 days assigned for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's.
it doesn't have to fall on the holiday. If the holiday's on the weekend, it is, but you still get 2 days off.
Yes.
Pick those days. So, Steve, we need to do a better job of having.
Communicating, I agree, I will.
So can we tell the citizens, that somebody is here 8 hours a day?
Yeah,
Somebody is available 8 hours a day.
doesn't mean you're necessarily gonna get somebody on the phone, because, so tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow, my morning is gonna be spent in the city of Justin. I don't think Salvador's coming in tomorrow because he's got classes that are starting back up, which means he's not gonna be able to come up and help out as many hours, which means it'll be Brooke here by herself. So tomorrow, if I'm in a meeting in Justin and Brooke is sick, no, City Hall will not be open because we have 2 people.
That's not satisfactory.
Well, that's the staffing.
Right there's where we need intern.
But you can't let an intern run the office by himself.
Can't do an intern by themselves.
No, that's the whole
Not
definition
to
of
start
intern.
out with, but after 3 months or 4 months, you can. Once they've learned.
Well, and answering the phone and taking messages and just being here for the citizens.
Okay, so when somebody calls, how many times does the phone ring before it goes to voicemail?
I think it's 3 times. But when it comes in, it answers your call. You get the, on-demand line, and it says, would you like to speak to somebody here, here, what do you want to talk about? It will then ring that, extension. If that person doesn't pick up, then it gets forwarded over to a common line, and everybody's phone in the office rings. So everybody has an opportunity to pick it up and answer it. If nobody picks it up and answer it, then it goes to the voicemail box of the individual that's there. Now, the mayor and I have been talking about this as well. And the problem with having somebody be there to pick up and say, hey, I'm gonna make a paper note is, there are times where that paper note, they put it on a sticky note, they put it in whatever it is, and it comes in and gets stuck on a desk, and then somebody else comes in and drops a piece of paper on top of that on your desk. And I don't pick up that piece of paper for 2 or 3 days. So rather than that being in my voicemail, which gets delivered to my email, so as soon as somebody leaves me a message, I get an email with the voicemail transcribed for me. And I can respond to them as soon as I can. Most of the time, if I'm out of the office, I still respond to the voicemails I receive because they come to me directly. The more human intervention you put between the person trying to reach the point that they're trying to accomplish, the more likely we're to have failure. That's just,
So
humans lead to failure.
So what's the name of this phone company?
Huh?
What's the name of this phone company here? Yeah, who is it?
Oh, well, we use Acuna for our phone
No,
system.
no. What is the name of the phone company?
It's Acuna.
CenturyLink?
Thank you.
We don't use CenturyLink.
CenturyLink doesn't provide our dial tone?
No, we use, we're a voice over IP, so all of our phone calls come in over.
Okay, so you gotta have this option. When I had a home phone through CenturyLink or Southwestern Bell, and I had voicemail, and if I'm on the phone, I get a click if somebody else is trying to call, all right?
Mhm.
And that person gets, after whatever you set up, 3 rings, 4 rings, it goes to voicemail, says leave your message. So the next time I pick up my receiver, goes beep, beep, tells me there's a message. Do we have something like that?
So ours, as soon as it goes to a voicemail, it takes it and it sends it to that individual's an email. And says, you have a voicemail, and you can click on it and you can listen to the voicemail in your email account. Or the next time you pick it up, your phone is flashing and you can push the button there and you can listen to it that way.
So if somebody calls and leaves a message, there's no excuse for them not being, their call being returned.
No, I would say there's no excuse for that.
All right.
So Justin and Roanoke were open Thursday and Friday before New Year's, according to their calendars, were we?
Well, Thursday and Friday before New Year's,
We were closed.
I have to look at the city of Justin's calendar. I don't know off the top of my head.
Were we?
No, we were not. We observed Thursday and Friday as New Year's Eve and New Year's Day for the holiday.
Justin did not list New Year's Day, which is weird, but okay.
Apparently they were open the Thursday and Friday before New Year's, according to their calendar. But the citizens were saying that there was a lot of days we were closed. And it
Okay,
was
so-
posted.
So 10 days, any 10 days. But I still think that's stupid. I don't know any company that gets 2 days before the
The other
holiday,
way,
2
the other
days.
way to do it, Steve, I mean, there's another option, is you just name 10 days, and instead of 2 days at Christmas and 2 at the New Year, which is kind of nice to get together with your family, but with that aside, you add President's Day and you add Veterans Day, there's your other 2 days in the mix, and they got 10 days scattered throughout the year.
So I listed the basic ones, 2 days for Christmas and New Year's, and I got Memorial, Labor, and July 4th, and that was 9. So.
I forwarded out the list in there. I can forward you guys the list. It's in the.
I was just curious if we know, was it President's Day or what was
I can tell you here in a second.
it? Yeah, just curious which one it was, because I'm.
Yeah.
Good Friday.
Thank you.
Good Friday.
So, and maybe in the future, in order to avoid some of the mess that we had this last couple of weeks, if we can definitely let our website know if you guys are deciding to lock up and leave.
I think that's appropriate, that we you know, put a list of calendar events on there, but I think it's just common courtesy to put a note up
Yeah.
saying closed tomorrow.
So those events are listed on the website as closures under the calendar.
But-
What I didn't do is we didn't call it out in the red box up on the top of the website or anything of that nature. And we didn't, the New Year's Day, we did not post it out onto, social media like we did on Christmas. We did that for Christmas.
And again, I think just courtesy for, you know, put something on.
And we
the
put a
door.
note on the
So
door
if
as well.
somebody, you know,
Yeah.
doesn't look at the website, and they get here, they'll know why it's closed.
Yeah,
And those 10 days aren't new. I mean, we just didn't make that up in 2021.
no, this actually predates me.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we've
I'm
always,
saying that
yeah.
there were, that Wednesday, people came up here, they didn't know we were closed, we can avoid things like that.
I think that's fair.
Mhm.
Good discussion. All right, the last one, I think, we talked about this last time. Well, we didn't talk it out officially, but we wanted to talk about the bee policy.
Yeah.
So discuss the ordinance regarding the keeping of bees.
And the present policy forbids.
I found it interesting when I read it.
Yeah.
That, yeah, and I think what I told them, research I found, most cities in Texas have this, even though it cannot be enforced. Only in the state of Texas, the landowner and HOA can prevent you from having bees. But like I said, most cities do have this, but it cannot be enforced.
So-
There's nothing more advantageous to the environment than honeybees.
So how can we fix this?
One of the thoughts that I had is we have some subdivisions coming in that are gonna have smaller lots. Maybe a half acre, maybe less.
That's what
You
I
have-
have HOAs.
Okay, and
Yeah.
HOAs would manage those.
Those 40 by 100, that's 1/8 acre.
Right, you don't wanna put high bees on that property, especially if your neighbors are allergic to bees.
In the state of Texas, you can have it on the balcony of your apartment.
Or,
Legally, yes.
In
And there are
downtown
places
Dallas.
there's places that do.
In downtown Dallas, some chef-run restaurants have them on their roof.
I mean, I'm
And
not
I was
opposed
looking
to
to
I like
read
bees, but.
as well. I mean,
Beneficial.
Ultimately, they said as long as you can keep people from walking within the first 25 feet of that hive, your chances of having any type of an incident with attacks or stinging or anything of that nature are pretty high. I guess bees are kind of fat. It takes them a little bit of distance to get the lift that they're looking for. So humans, I think, are bears when they approach the front of the hive. So if somebody approaches it, there's a potential that if you're wanting to allow it, you want to have some degree of saying, hey, we want you to do this. We already have a structure setback on our plans of 25 feet from the edge of any of the property lines. The 25-foot setback would actually make this compatible with being safe.
But John says that if you can have bees on the balcony of your apartment, then.
I have to do a little bit of research on that. I don't know if Larry knows this off the top of his head, but I know that we had Franklin Legal, it's a law firm, go through and review these ordinances, and they came back and flagged ordinances that are in conflict with state law, and they did not flag this. So I think that the city can regulate.
They can regulate, they can't say no.
Well, so we don't say no.
Yeah.
We say that it has to be safe.
Yes.
And so since we're saying this has to be safe, if you're doing something that's gonna make it unsafe to your neighbors, we do have the ability to regulate that. And then what we're saying, what they go on to say here is bees shall not be kept in a subdivision of the city. I can tell you this policy was more than likely just copied and pasted from another city. And so that's how it came to being up here in New Fairview. So if you guys wanna make a thing saying, basically these are allowed
Yes.
in the city, I can,
Or you
look.
just take it out.
Well, we can take out bees shall not be kept in the subdivisions of the city, but again, the HOAs, if they don't want to have bees in their neighborhood, they can handle it that way.
But you can have subdivision with acre lots, which is
That's
still.
what-
Correct, if you've got acre lots, there's no reason why you should not.
So it can't be
Anyhow.
subdivision, it can't, well, hold on, it can't, so I would like it to not read can't in a subdivision, because some subdivisions are over acre lots. So we have to omit that word.
I mean, Hilltop is a subdivision.
What you may say is, the hive has to be 25 feet from any habitable structure.
And they can even post it. I mean, there can be a warning posted as.
Well, even a warning,
Sign.
if I put it right on my property line and my neighbor's front door is 10 feet that direction, do we want to have that type of a situation set up even if it's posted?
I'm not saying 10 feet. mean,
I know, so that's what I'm saying. If everything that I've read said 25 feet is the safe distance from the front of a hive. So worst case scenario, somebody puts a hive in next to the neighbor's property, as long as you've got 25 feet distance from it, you're not gonna see any issues with it. They said the worst thing you'll see if you put it in the appropriate measures is you'll see swarming when they get ready to create a new hive.
You do that with other animals.
So, you know, if they meet the requirements of a 25-foot setback from the edge of their property lines, then I don't think you're gonna have any issues. If you wanna keep it to where they don't sting their, or put hives in where it's gonna put their own house in danger, you could say 25 feet from any habitable structure.
25 feet sounds
But
reasonable.
that's
Or maybe the fence line.
well, if there's not a habitable structure there, do you care if it's closer to that fence line? Because those hives are mobile. I mean, you can pick that thing up and move it around and do that.
I'd say structure. It's better than fence line.
Yeah,
Another couple things that I did read, the cities that do have ordinances, most of them require their beekeepers to be registered with the state of Texas. And because,
Every site.
Every site, so they have to be inspected annually. And they legally in Texas are supposed to be inspected annually.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, I don't think we should make that a requirement.
You're supposed to be inspected. I read that again tonight from the state of Texas,
Okay, if that's so with the state of Texas, why does the city have to make that?
because.
It isn't, we don't have to address it.
Because nobody's looking.
With these.
Is it part of this?
Yeah, I mean, the state can require it, but ultimately.
I mean, who's gonna regulate that in the
Correct.
city?
It's enforcement.
Who's gonna suit up and come out and say?
I mean, honestly, if somebody, this is, for the large part, this is gonna be a golf swing of my standards. Because if somebody puts a deed out there, I'm not gonna be out there measuring from the fence line or from the gate, or is this 25 feet away from it?
So.
So what we're hoping for is people will look at this and make the reasonable assumption that if you put this 25 feet away from any habitable structure, it's best for everybody. Probably be best for the bees too, because they're not having their, what do they call it, their guard bees, you know, activating the hive, you know, attack, so.
There's, I don't know.
So no annual inspection.
No.
We don't have that in our current ordinance, and I don't think that we would want to do anything related to that.
No,
I mean, we don't wanna make it hard on people to do something like this. This is beneficial.
this is good, yeah, it's a good
My
thing.
garden likes it.
Absolutely.
Actually, there are 2 hackberries that are full of bees.
Yeah, it's good.
I keep thinking back to a childhood incident. It wasn't me, but it was my brother and his friend. And we lived on a good sized farm, and they climbed over the fence, knocked over a bunch of beehives. One of them almost died. Kim Bitt was his name, and just about died. My brother was really sick, but he must have been stung 100 times.
Oh, yeah.
He never pushed any old beehives again.
No. That's the funny thing about bees. If you don't catch them in your hand, they won't bother you unless you approach their home.
Yeah.
They close to their home and they're gonna
And
get.
it's a different bee.
Yeah.
So you just need to be, the homeowners need to be safe with them, I think is the key.
So what I'll do is I'll adjust the language, bring it forward to the council at the next meeting, you guys can take action on it at that time, and then update the ordinance.
Okay. Sounds good. Are we through with the first part, Mr. Murray?
We're done with the work session, so we need to adjourn that. All in favor of adjournment of the work session?
Bye.
Let's take 5 minutes. Anybody who wants to speak, now's the time to go get that form filled out, because I don't have any if there are any.
I haven't received any, I'll check and see if there's any online.
Commercial break.
Adjournment time is about 8:00.
Fire, is it? We need a second.
I'll let you know as soon as I get going on this.
Are you Yes.
Oh, okay. And then Kirk's gonna say something to Kirk.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard.
I've got.
Because we've got to think about it.
Is it still 3-0? Yeah.
George is moving the ball.
Yes.
I'm recording it, so.
There was some.
Oh, there's some good games on this weekend. Oh, my God.
So last night, San Diego, the Chargers and the Raiders.
Yes.
That was a tremendous game. I don't know why at the end of the game, they just didn't
When my father.
let the time run out. They could have both lost the playoff. That was weird.
Talk out there. Between the Chargers and the Raiders, they were gonna do that, but the Raiders got it.
I remember him also.
Even Chargers called that time.
Right, like with 48 seconds, why'd you stop the clock?
They were gonna run the clock out, and they did that, they said, well, hell.
Oh,
They're gonna win.
I was sitting out there on that tractor that day and my T-story.
Hell of a way to end the year.
Even the announcer said that. I was thinking the same thing. It's 48 seconds, just let the clock run out. Oh, it's 3.
Well,
Is it tied up now?
Yeah, it's time out. Alabama's got the ball, 12 minutes left in the half.
Smaller pieces.
In all honesty, I didn't.
Oh, our picture where the house is.
Yep, and by the time the,
Okay, good.
I got a text message.
Joe, next.
That's the thing, got negative, but now I'm reading because nobody has the PCR.
Yeah.
So my wife got a friend who had the.
Yeah, you Russell.
So I did that, really got negative, I didn't want
Did
to.
you that set up
Or had,
but the title? And I've known Bruce.
Well, have you read the?
Yeah.
They're not saying the,
So.
it's. The whole issue. Within 30 days.
Your support?
It's so very limited. But it's so mild, everybody's getting going, and so everybody's basically.
And let me get it, Joe.
That's what we don't care about.
Joe.
Some of it's.
John.
It's a little time.
The best area is that you got it, and
I had all my shells.
you can hold it, that's the goal. You want to know what's funny? I've got my wife has a service machine, all the like expired. Others, I had 1 or 2, and then now they're being required to go to the booster. So all the specialists have gone out to vaccination and the booster, and 50% of the portions that with the expired. So, it just lowers the level of like signal. Just go through your practice. If you're not likely to be in the hospital or later, which means you're not likely to die.
So I got work kids and work and one, and we went out.
I've never been so tired because I had last week.
I had to call back.
Everybody works in society. I know, it's like, I'm like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So.
Well,
Everybody's like,
yeah,
have you heard about long coats? Well, I was like, no, I'm not, I have not. I don't need anything else.
So 10 minutes left in the half. Alabama 6-3.
I got caught.
And watching up here in the city of yeah.
I should have come up first since I was first in, so talking.
Yeah, I am also about.
You haven't done it like that.
You get anything else to speak?
No.
There's
people in line.
And then you go back and back. And so if you're doing your thing, that's my lifespan, like you said about the 90s.
Yeah, you're right about this. Last year, I kept score for you.
That's where you got us from.
Does anybody want any chocolate or drink?
Okay. And let them know the drive.
I hooked up my buddy here with the chocolates.
Brought out the gold nuggets.
Cheers.
Yeah, I was reading here, and then I was in holiday. I got a ball, get some stuff. And then, you still look up. And I started here in the center. They used to build a new Smithfield on there.
All right, ready?
Yeah. They built it on the playground.
Okay, we're gonna call this to order now.
Yeah, I went into that school.
We got a gavel.
Call this to order now.
So, yeah, I saw a lot of.
Roll call, Nolan Schoonmaker.
John Taylor.
Julie Berger.
Scott Johnson.
Steve Meisner.
All right, next at 8:18. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, I do not have any requests to speak. There's none that's been requested online, so we'll go straight to new business. Item A, discuss, consider, and act on a resolution of the city of New Fairview, Texas, approving the development agreement with Beaten Path Development LLC and authorize the city administrator to execute the agreement.
So we've got John Fitstick and Dustin. Oh yeah, he's back there. You disappeared from my line of sight. Here tonight from Beaten Path. They're gonna do a little bit of a presentation. They met with the Planning and Zoning Commission last month, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of plan development based upon the terms that are within the development agreement and the zoning ordinance. So at this point, I'll turn it over to John.
That's Settler Glen. It's kind of
407 just past Martindale here, go Giant Field to your left, and then it starts settling.
if you know where Pete lives, Fireman Pete, he's part of it. He's the 15 acres from there, right across there.
Thank you. My name's John Fitstick again with Beaten Path Development. Dustin Austin is with us today also. I know you've got 7 or 8 items on the agenda that have to deal with us, but basically I'll try to make it simplified for you. A lot of that is the attorneys, your city attorneys, those are attorneys in terms of making it legal. We're basically in the process of purchasing 2 pieces of property. One's the back property and the other one's Kozlowski. Kozlowski's about 15 acres, a little bit smaller. So because of that, we had to kind of split a lot of those up. There's two actually legal descriptions, one for Beck and one for Kozlowski. We have both of those properties under contract, and the reach annexation. We prefer to be inside the city. We could develop in the county, but we like to do developments in the city and follow city rules and regulations and grow the city. So that's why we're coming in today with you. But again, the bottom line is there's an annexation procedure, a development guideline, and a zoning PD. And that's what all those basically items that are here before you. But because of the 2 separate parcels, pieces of property and how we did it, 3 different development guidelines, annexation, TD. So that's why you got 7 or 8 different items on here. So, but I'm going to present it and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Basically, we're proposing annexation of 157 acres, again along 407, for a single family PD zoning with half-acre lots. Concrete street, bar ditches, private sewer systems, and no sidewalks. Basically, we're proposing a large lot, rural theme subdivision. This is kind of where we are. It's kind of the keyhole, if you will. Yes, I think on both sides is within the city, so it's kind of a little keyhole there. This is the property we're proposing on 407. We've got two street entryways, only two street entryways here, we back some of them up. What some of the things that got brought up at the P and Z was concerns about backing up. Don't back up any of the houses to 407, they're all side. So they're all siding to that, so it's a longer run, big, deeper lot on the side there. Again, Bardage is private sewer and those sidewalks, this is a little bit larger. So you can see, we're actually proposing a minimum square foot of 2,300 square feet for single family homes.
What's the setback off of 407?
There is a 50-foot, I believe, there's a 50-foot easement there.
Okay. It says right there, I just can't read it from here.
I think it's 50-foot easement, gas easement there.
Yeah.
Off of 407.
Okay.
Again, we are proposing to dedicate, provide 24 acres of open space. We're not dedicating to the city. This will be maintained by the HOA association. So that's 15% gross acreage of the whole entire area. That's, or I've looked at some of your other ones. I don't see anybody else go, dedicating or providing a total of 15% of the gross acreage in open space common areas that will be maintained by HOA. We work with city manager and we also providing connected trails. Again, as the city continues to develop, we'd love to connect those trails to other developments to have some pedestrian walkways to the city. So again, there are gas well sites on there, but we're kind of turning the limit to eliminate, so to speak, and so we are providing that open space there. We are requiring a minimum 3 trees per lot. That's, again, in addition to seeing some other developments there. We also recently discussed your dark sky standards, and we're willing to participate in your dark sky standards. I think that you talked about that in terms of that. Again, the right of way, one issue that we talked about is we're proposing a 30-foot concrete street, 30-foot wide concrete street, but it will have the barges with that. So it's on a 50-foot right of way.
Those look similar to what you see on South Mainline Road, which is the concrete street bar ditch versus curb gutter.
What's that development around the airport there? Rock bars? What do they call that?
Right across the
Avery.
street.
Avery Red.
Yeah, that's what they did there. It was
Yeah.
concrete street, wasn't it, with bar ditches?
Yeah. We're kind of, I guess, comparing ourselves, if you will, to Falcon Ridge. I'm not, we're going to be a little bit different development, but just to show, Falcon Ridge is a nice development. We heard some issues with, that were brought up with the P and Z, but basically, if you compare us to Falcon Ridge, we're proposing a minimum of 9-foot widths. Falcon Ridge, that's not addressed in their requirements. Proposing a minimum lot depth of 200 feet, front yard of 30 feet. Falcon Ridge only has 25 feet, minimum side yard is the same, 10 feet. Side yard at street, 20 feet is what we're requiring, a minimum rear yard of 20 feet. Again, 2,300 square feet, which is the same. Parking, 2-car garages, minimum 2 cars, street right away, 50 feet, so it's the same. You can see those in green, we're actually providing or including that we include greater standards than Falcon Ridge. Basically, again, we're requiring a minimum of 3 trees that be dedicated, will be built on site as each homeowner will be in there. The gap flow setbacks are a little bit different. We're providing 200 feet, but we are, as you see, go back to that, providing all that open space around that. And there will be a mandatory homeowners association that will be maintaining all entryways and common open space areas. Again, we're looking at, one of the things that got brought up at the Planning and Zoning Commission was the open fencing, which we understand that's what you're, concerned about. So we have required open fencing on the first 250 feet behind 407 as you drive in 407. So all that will be open space, and also any lots that back up to the common space, open space usually will be part of that open fencing as well.
You said for the first 200?
250.
250, and then after that, they're allowed to do the wood privacy fence.
Yes. It depends on a lot of people. There are room enough to put some other things in there, but we understand that. We also, anything that backs up, can go back to.
Are they allowed to do that around their entire half acre or just like around a pool or a hot tub or something? Are you allowing the wood privacy fence around, like say towards the back of the
It's
house?
going to be, basically, any kind of fencing would be maintained by a home, again, I said architectural control committee approval. So we're looking, looking at any kind of fencing. We want to keep it open there, but we also want to allow people to have some private fencing if they want it, depending on that, if they had. Again, this is kind of the rural ranch style living, and you can see kind of examples here. Emphasis on minor house plans, a deeper front and back, open fencing, again, adjacent to open spaces in NF 407. 24 acres of common open space, and basically we're talking about bringing $93 million of housing to your community with improvements, and that would be the annual property taxes to the city would be about $280,000 based on your current tax
So
rate.
that's evaluation, 90 million evaluation.
93 million is basically taking about $500,000 per lot, per house. And these are going to be minimum, probably have, $500,000 homes minimum. So we just took that as a minimum. That's going to be minimum. I can tell you that right now.
And your largest lots are half acre.
Well, some of them are a little bit, the minimum lots are half acre. Some of them are a little bit larger than that. Basically, we're talking about 100 by 200 feet is the standard lot. Basically, like you said, you can see, cursor. This is the Kozlowski tract here in the middle here. Can you look at that? And the larger tract is the back tract here. So this property over here, we don't have that under contract. That's an existing house there. Certainly, we were providing access to that.
How big is that piece of property right there that you don't have?
Three properties, a couple of acres, I guess. I don't know, maybe.
Like it's
Probably an acre and a half.
Yeah.
Is that the person that's holding out for $2 million?
No, we haven't approached it. I mean, we didn't need them to develop, so we have not. I mean, there was an existing house there, so,
So both this 142.245 acres and the 14.977 is your,
it's under contract.
And it's all outside
is
city
the
limits, is that
14
right?
in there?
Yeah, it's
He
in,
wants to end
Yeah,
it.
14 is right.
So now it's in that.
It's in this box.
When he starts building, it'll be in the city limits.
Okay.
well, he's asking to be annexed tonight.
It's all in the county right now. We're requesting to be annexed into the city, so that's one issue. We're requesting to be zoned to PD, and we're requesting development agreement. Development agreement would outline our requirements for closing the deal, so to speak, with the dark sky standards and as well as the other standards.
Where does all the council stand on the acre lot issue that we're supposed to have and within city limits?
Well, look at the,
How does everybody
Look at
feel
how
about that?
they've got already set the standard.
Falcon Ridge is 180.
Well, no, Falcon Ridge had an aggregate 1 acre.
Right.
The number of houses and the
When you
acres
say
is all matched.
aggregate, or is that average?
They had 250 acres and they built 250 houses. Okay.
Less streets and.
Right, less streets and green space and all. So he's proposing 0.85 acres per house between
Yeah, I
his green
understand. If
space.
it's outside the city limits, there's nothing we can do about that. But if it's annexed in the city limits, does anybody care about sticking to the acre per house?
Well, Steve, I'm gonna point at you because you had a differing opinion on that and I'm willing to hear that.
I think with this development, we've already went down that road, planning and zoning, the council already voted on this and been addressed about this before. I think we've already went down, that this is what we're gonna do. In the future, I think that Ben in planning and zoning mentioned that we're gonna eventually do away with this special zoning somehow.
Well, PD zoning will never go away, but we're gonna do a much better job of defining what we're looking for. So that
change the, lot size? Right now, there's no lot size addressed in this zoning.
Well, for us, we've got 5 zoning districts, and the single-family zoning district is just 1 acre lot. So because this does not meet the requirements of 1 acre lots, it's gonna get a plan development, which would be the,
Why does it not have to stick with 1 acre lots?
Yeah, Carter.
well, so
It's
as part of this development agreement, we are agreeing to annex them in, and they're agreeing, they're petitioning to be annexed in based upon being able to have half-acre lots.
Why would you do that?
Well, because they can develop the half-acre lots, and we do not need any of the benefits of them being in the
That's
city
ridiculous. We approved
without
that.
asking permission.
I'm sorry, what?
So
We're talking about lot sizes, and I refer back to Shoe Ranch, which has tiny, 40 and 60
Right.
foot wide.
So what's the aggregate on the shoe branch?
Um,
How many acres
It's
was,
about a half acre,
how many acres total was the
it's
shoe?
like 1,800 acres,
And how many houses were we gonna put on it? 2,500?
no, 4,000 houses.
Okay,
So it's a little less than half acre per lot in aggregate.
aggregate,
And then how many lots are on this property?
183?
185.
185.
185.
So when did we decide? I'm just curious. I mean, I could, maybe I missed
Right
something.
off this meeting, Steve voted against it. Because of the small lot size, you remember
Yes, I do.
When this first came up?
that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he, you know, very concerned about that. But I think that, they've done a very good job presenting their case, that they need to have a product of half acres to be able to compete with these other developments. Most everyone shopping for houses are wanting smaller downsized acreage for manageability. I don't know where you're coming from.
That's not my experience. I work for, that's what I do,
I'd say that's their selling pitch, am I correct?
but that's not accurate.
So to
I
give
think
you
it's
some
accurate
frame
for
of
the older
reference,
generation.
Falcon Ridge.
I do this for a living. It's not.
Falcon Ridge has.
So everybody
sold out
comes here and wants an acre
about
lot?
twice as fast as they expected.
At least.
Falcon Ridge sold out about twice as fast as they expected. And they're now moving on to Paloma Ranch. Paloma Ranch, those first 24 lots, they're gonna be larger lots, but, you know, they're anticipating building similar sized homes, maybe a little bit bigger than this, than what we're seeing right here, but
On 1 acre.
on 1 acre. But these right here, I mean, they built out and sold their lots, you know, twice as fast. as
My
what
question is not how great they're gonna sell and what everybody wants. As a city, I thought that we had decided acre lots for a reason. Because we don't want to be South.
We,
The citizens.
20 years ago.
Right, so I don't understand why that's shifting without,
There's no.
So my concern, and actually, let me just throw an extra opinion. My concern here is that 1 acre invites outdoor storage. Because I live on Martindale.
An HOA, that can be addressed, that's not accurate.
So
Your
it's
HOA
still,
is not gonna let you just pile stuff on there.
well, if they're
Absolutely.
1 acre lots, is there gonna be an HOA or is it the city?
No, you can have an HOA with 1 acre lots, just like you can with half
They're
acre
gonna have
lots.
an HOA in here. So
Right.
the concern
HOA
that
is not gonna let you pile stuff on an acre.
But you can have a junkyard on a city lot as well as a 1 acre or 5 acre or 10 acre.
That's not, right, we're talking about how many people we're going to allow to be on the roads, to be in the city. I mean, there's a reason why we said acre lots. And we've stuck with
Now,
that.
there's a cost to
This
this.
one,
Cost.
this subdivision along with Shoe Ranch and all the others, when those are fully developed, there will be no way to get in and on or off 407.
Absolutely.
As 407 stands today, correct?
Why are we
Okay,
switching
so
to half
Let
acres? I don't understand.
let me bring this point up, because I think it's important that we're missing it. And that is, they're still gonna develop this, whether we let them in the city or not,
But he's asking to be annexed tonight.
right?
So if we
So
say
be that
yes,
next tonight or tomorrow night, or 5 months from now, they're gonna build the property. It's still gonna affect the things you're talking about, the roads and things getting busy.
so we should.
That's not gonna go away. That's by not allowing them.
Okay, here-
The only thing we're gonna lose out on is a $250,000 property tax.
Here's the issue. That's all that Ben and you care about is taxes.
We can't take care of what we got now.
Hey, I don't have a problem with that.
Let's have a.
But we don't want to raise, we
Absolutely.
don't want to raise property taxes
No.
on
Bring
existing.
it.
Okay,
Where do we
so,
get the water from for all of this?
There
So
you
here's,
go,
here's
there
the
you go.
second concern I have is if we do 16 square miles.
Does it matter?
Let me-
Where they're getting
Why
water?
is it?
Let me ask this pitch. This
I'm
is-
asking where he's getting the water
Aqua
from.
Texas.
Thank you.
So let me pitch this out here real quick. So we got 16 square miles. That's 16 times 640 acres. So minus 30% for roads and all that other stuff. So you're looking at 10,000 homes you could put on 1 acre lots in the city of New Fairview. What's it cost to run a city to maintain the roads and to keep water? Because where are all those people gonna get their water? They're all gonna put 10,000 straws in there. This is something I want to put on the city council meeting. They'll all put a straw into the sponge. Okay, what happens to my well and your well when they do that?
Good question.
They dry up. It doesn't dry up, but it pulls the water table down around the
Of
sponge.
course.
So in order to bring water to 10,000 people, the cost, and I just did this rough in my head, would roughly be probably $10,000 a household in order to run a city, maintain the streets, and bring water into those 10,000 residents. So you can't afford to do that on 1 acre lots. How can you do that? So can you do that, Julie? Can we do that? I mean, that's a consideration we need to think about. So one of the things I want to try to happen is the Upper Trinity Water District needs to make a presentation to this council about what happened in Parker County. Because as Joe Max will remember, I had him come down here a number of years ago. So in West Parker County, in Aledo area, they said, we're gonna do 1 acre, we're gonna do outdoor living, country living, we're not gonna have any restrictions. So they built 7,000 straws into the water table around Aledo. Because everybody had 1 acre, they drilled their own well, they did their own septic system. Now the Upper Trinity,
Drill well.
do what?
I think you need more than 1 acre to drill a well in Wise County.
and Parker County ended up with a moratorium. That's how bad it is.
Right, so Upper Trinity came, go ahead, Steve.
Well, I think we need to get back to the topic at hand. Right now, the council already voted on the plat. They've already went through the planning, they already went through planning and zoning. Why do we have planning and zoning and we're gonna go in and argue what they've already argued?
I wasn't at
But
that
the
meeting. I
county-
have no idea. All I know is that all of us ran with the citizens and told the citizens we were gonna do acre lots.
So
No, that's not true.
I didn't run on 1 acre lots.
Now, he wasn't here. He wasn't here.
I wasn't-
He wasn't here and he wasn't here.
We've shifted a lot of people since we all got
Yeah.
voted in.
Well, the council already voted for the plan.
So the thing about it is, as it is right now, they're requesting to annex in if we approve this agreement and we give them this zoning. If the council tonight says, no, we're not gonna give you the zoning, then you voting on this development agreement comes a moot point, because then I'm gonna meet with them tomorrow and say, do you guys want to develop this with a 1 acre lot? And they're gonna say, no, probably not, which means you'll end up with this development occurring just on the outskirts of the city with pretty much what you see right here.
With the
But
auto
there's
load
no-
and the
But
water
there's-
load
there's
and
no-
everything.
You know, all of the impacts that you're talking about, all the things that you're saying are occur, but there's not gonna be any revenue generated for the city. When next door, the parks get built, that Shoot Branch, they're gonna still go over and use the parks. They're still gonna use city amenities and city facilities, but they're not going to be generating any additional revenue for the city to offset the cost that they're gonna be putting onto our system. So, you know, from this standpoint of situation, this is not a situation where we can dictate, we're negotiating, we're asking for them to do these certain things. So when I talked to them, I said, the council's big deal is they want open space, as much open space as we can get. They came back and said, we can do 25% of our project, half acre lots, concrete streets, all the things that we've kind of talked about as being important for the city. Now, if you go back and say, we want one, and in addition to that, you know, the P&Z beat them up and said, we don't want to see any privacy fences from 407. So they agreed to open rural fencing all along the frontage for 250 feet, and then to do vegetative screening in order to obscure the view of any privacy fencing that you can see from 407. So they've come back and been willing to negotiate, and work with us to make it as minimally impactful to the city and the viewpoints that we're talking about as they possibly can. But we can't enforce them to do 1 acre lots, Julie. If we tell them we want 1 acre lots, then they could potentially come back and say, okay, we'll do it. But the financial picture on this project for the price of the land and the development costs and everything else on 1 acre is not going to be as attractive as half acres. So at that point, they have to make a determination of, are we just gonna develop county on half acre lots and not worry about the city? Because they can do that.
I understand that.
So,
They could go to less than say that.
yeah, they could.
Well,
If they
I'm
want
not
to-
thinking about that.
Their septic system, they have to put in a septic.
Yeah, they just have to do the same type of a thing that,
You said you're doing a private sewer,
yes,
so you're gonna have a sewer system on site.
no, on-site septic.
That's
Septic is the
it.
water
Like
supply.
the robot systems, like the.
Roads, yeah.
See, that's another issue to me.
I agree.
It should be to everybody, is you're dumping that back into the ground.
No, actually, you're not, you're spraying it on top of the ground, which sucks even worse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I hate my aerobic
It
system.
does.
Well, the drip system, which is now approved.
And you know what, they,
And Mayor, Joe Max would like to speak to the council.
If it's okay.
You know, we had an open time, Joe.
Well, I
well,
thought,
we've allowed citizens to speak before, Mayor.
Go ahead, Joe.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
okay, yeah, real easy. Is the landowner next to their development? I share a half a mile with them,
Right,
and the van meters on the other side of the property. I understand where you're coming from on wanting the 1 acre lots, okay? Pros and cons of all that. It's been discussed many times.
Oh, has it?
But as a landowner next to the property, I'd rather see them, they're gonna make the development. They're gonna have the development no matter what at the half acre lots. They're probably gonna go with this plan and they're gonna do it. But there isn't gonna be any city control over anything that goes on in that property.
I understand.
or any profit,
And for
take
me,
care of it.
I'm being selfish, in the van meters, we would like to have the city rules to look after that property,
I
inspect
understand.
that property, and to continue looking after that property in the future. Plus, it's not that, the taxes shouldn't be the only thing you look at. I agree with what Steve said there, because we're always going to be looking to pay for things, but I hate to lose that money anyway in the future. Is that
Two hundred and what, $280,000?
okay?
That's not much money.
Good input, thank you, sir.
$280,000 is not much money.
That's 50% of our income now.
And so we've talked a lot about every time a development comes about the water issue. So does it matter how many wells are drilled? Does it?
I can throw a stone and did it.
And you don't care about your own water?
Yeah.
No, I do, I'm right there with Judy, that's why they're gonna get Aqua Texas to do something.
Where's the
What are we
water
doing
coming
for the
from?
water?
You didn't address the water.
Where's the water coming from?
Where is the water coming?
We're negotiating with Aqua Texas to provide.
And where-
Does that mean it's wells? Is that city water? Is it?
We'll probably have to provide sites on some of the open space for wells.
What kind of control do we have about what they drill and what they don't drill?
None.
Nothing.
If we want to have control of that, we have to have a water system.
We have to have a CCN.
Not a CCN, we have to have the ability to serve. We don't have the ability to provide them any service.
It's just like the city that can't stop that me from anything to do with my well or your well.
I know, but again, this is gonna get to be a problem. We're back to the point of where do we get the water?
Right.
So how do 7,000 1 acre lots afford water?
How do they?
They'll pay $100,000 a piece over the next 10 years to bring water in. Or we do housing development and we charge these people who show up and make them bring the water in. Because
But they're not hooking up to
They're
close
not
by
bringing
cities.
water in.
They're not right. They're
Shoe
digging.
Branch is trying to bring water in.
The Shoe Branch will, they quote.
But let's deal with this at hand right
No,
now.
I agree. I'm just saying, was, as a general overall consensus, my fear of the 1 acre scenario is exactly that, is everybody's gonna put a straw in the ground. I agree with you. Where does the water come from? I'm worried about that.
But that's, I mean, that's somebody else's CNN. We have no control over that. They have, Aqua Texas has,
How do we get control over that?
but in a water.
Well, so, one of the things that we talked about when this came to the table was the city, providing services here. But our time frames, our horizon is not the same as theirs. They want to start development and moving forward now.
Right.
We're not gonna have water for 3 years, more than likely. So how do we bridge that gap? There were some things that we talked about doing and depending, have you guys gotten the letter served yet from Aqua?
No, there's still been a study on that, but I will say as a development community, we see ultimately in Fairview getting their own water supply system or another system there. I think Ben brings up a good point. There's just kind of a time frame. That's why we would prefer to be inside the city. We don't have a problem with any, impact fees, whether they be roadway impact fees or water impact fees for that. We see that moving forward in the next 3 or 4 years. We just, our time frame is we're ready to develop now. That's what we would prefer to be in the city. So when that is made, that change is made, obviously if we're still developing there, then the
So what did the water study say? How many holes, what kind of flow rate, and what did the Upper Trinity Water District have to say? Have you done the water study yet?
Again, Aqua, we're working with Aqua for the final water study.
So when we talked, Aqua said they thought they had capacity to serve currently, right? That was what they've been told. So if their study comes back and they're consistent with what they've been told already, they won't require any additional holes in the ground for this. They're going to use existing capacity in the system that they have right here already. But if the study comes back and then they may have to drill a well or potentially 2 wells. I don't know what the study actually is going to end up coming back and showing.
So one of my negotiating tools, and we don't have many, Ben, you're much better at this than I am, or any of us. If we have to drill holes in the ground, I'd like to see the investment come from Settlers Glen, that they'll go to the Trinity, not affecting their neighbors who are all stuck in the Biloxi, actually it's in Glen Roads, who are not all stuck in the top of the sponge. So I'd like to see some kind of commitment that if a hole is necessary, that it go down to the bottom of the sponge to get that water. Now, there is a flow, I'm a hydraulic engineer, there's flow requirements if you go to the bottom of the sponge that you can't meet a massive amount of flow at any one moment. This is all part of the hydraulic study that they'll do. But I'd like to hear some kind of commitment that Settlers Glen would be willing to say, hey, if we got to drill a hole,
We would love to sign up to provide for new Fairview to provide us water. You don't have water right now.
Correct.
The only option we have is Aqua. Right, that's under the timeframe we have, the only option we have. At this point in time, again, 2 years from now, it's gonna take us a year to develop streets and stuff. I mean, it's gonna happen over time. I guess what we're saying is, and we, in fact, our conversation was,
This is a fluid situation.
we'd love to let you provide water.
oh no, I absolutely understand.
Every development that's come in,
He-
we've gotten,
If I understand it, I'm absolutely with Scott. A subdivision ought to be required to go to the Trinity versus a individual that goes out there and buys 5 or 10 acres or whatever, and they use the blocks.
And it's not quite that easy, but it's to some extent. So what he's saying, what he's not saying is, what was the Aqua America? Aqua Texas, Aqua America. What he's saying is Aqua America is gonna make a contract with him to supply some amount of water in gallons per hour. And so however they get that, that's not his, he can't promise one way or the other.
But if they drill wells on that property,
Now there's a trick. Maybe you might have the ability to say, hey, Aqua Texas, if you're gonna drill, we would like to see this happen. Now, again, it becomes a financial thing between Aqua Texas and these people here. Ben's awful quiet over here. Give me some leverage. Help me out here, mister. You're good at this.
So, in all honesty, what we talked about and what I had proposed to them was the city providing a bridge over the next 2 years by drilling a series of shallow wells and then agreeing to take city water when we get the water to New Fairview. Because then those wells get taken offline and they're put onto our water system. But again, we don't really have a defined timeframe at this point. We're 2 months into a 12-month study from the city of Fort Worth. You know, Upper Trinity is working at what that pipeline would look like coming to this direction, city of Justin. So we're 3 years out, and you're an engineer, you understand, if it's 3 years, does it really mean 3 years, or is it potentially longer than that? We don't know exactly what it is. So they have to have some degree of certainty that they're gonna be able to serve in those regards. But I think from the standpoint, if they're going to have to invest and drill a well, I've already told them, I don't want them to drill a well for Aqua Texas. Drill the well, give it to the city, let the city operate it with our own water system, and then when we get water to the city of New Fairview,
We'll replace it.
we replace it, and that
Or it'll
becomes
supplement the city's water.
that becomes a redundant system that we can put into place in case we need to make use of it at some point in the future. So these are all conversations that we've had, but the only certain solution they have today is Aqua
It's
Texas.
holes in the ground and Aqua Texas.
Well, and
And
Aqua
whether-
Texas is telling them right now, they don't need holes in the ground. They're
Okay.
saying, we can serve with existing capacity.
So here's something I don't know that we can define, ladies and gentlemen, at this table. We can in the long run. So we have control of what is coming. So Ben, you're telling me that some years down the road, we're looking at getting water, surface water to New Fairview. Not too far, not too distant. Far. That will make me feel a whole lot better about some wells to service some small subdivisions, knowing that the bigger picture was gonna then supply surface water to these people. So I, as a homeowner and a well owner, I feel better. I would still like these ultimate promises, but he can't make them. Aqua Texas isn't gonna make that financial commitment because,
They're gonna do whatever makes sense.
right, whatever financially makes
They're
their.
saying that Aqua's gonna turn it over to the city. Aqua's.
No, Aqua's not. I'm just saying that Aqua will do whatever's financially, and he doesn't have control. And we don't have control of what they do financially. But if a well is needed, I like your approach. Hey, don't give it to Aqua Texas, give it to us.
Yeah, but,
We'll control it for 3 or 4 years and then we'll replace it.
so who's gonna see that in writing?
I would assume they're working on that in writing. I don't know.
Well, so right now, the assumption is they're gonna go forward with Aqua Texas. Now, and what they're saying is when the city can come to them and say, we can serve, then they would much rather work with us. If they're in the city limits, we don't need a CCM. We can, if we have a water service or a water system, we can serve because they're within our jurisdiction. And so then they have a choice. We can go with the city or we can go with Aqua Texas, unless they're contractually obligated and Aqua's saying, no, you have to use us throughout the entire development. But the city always has the ability and the right to come back later on and say, we want the system. It's in our city limits, we want it. And we can negotiate a purchase of that system. So, you know, there's a number of ways that we could make remedy of that in the future, but again, at this point, we have no solution for them other than to say.
It's a timeline.
Correct, it's a timing.
It's a time. And I'm beginning to see that picture and I appreciate y'all letting me walk down this road because this has been a big concern. Okay. I like the fact that the city is looking for water, surface water down the road. Hopefully sooner than I had assumed. 3 years is pretty quick and I would like to have seen that happen sooner, but it is what it is. I don't think these guys can drain our water table sufficiently.
It's gonna take them 12 months to go through the engineering, get everything done, and so you're not gonna start seeing substantial homes on that consuming water for 18 months, is when you're gonna start seeing people making use of the system and stuff like that.
2 years down the road, me and my neighbors start feeling water table issues.
Well,
in
I
the
mean,
city.
then, what's your burn, or what's your absorption rate that you're anticipating for your build rate on this property? What are you guys anticipating?
Right, 25 per year, so,
So,
Oh, you're looking 10 years down the road.
well, who knows what this market has to say tomorrow.
It could be like Falcon Ridge, it could be 2 years into it, and you're done. But, okay.
excuse me, hey, Joe Lax, there's gonna be a public hearing next, so you may want to just wait on that.
No, oh, I was just gonna ask Ben, didn't you do a study about 8 months ago on the water? And didn't Don Dunster, he is putting in the water tower just west of Justin.
That's that new.
Loma Ranch is hooking up to the water system.
Loma Ranch is Aqua Texas. That water tower you're talking about is going to serve Justin.
Is from Louisville Lake.
Yes, but that's existing line. It's nothing new. All they're doing is putting an additional.
And didn't Don have it worked out that he could not really do his development until he got above surface water?
Correct. Shoot Branch and Constellation Lakes both require surface water solutions. And
So
they're both
all of these people are working on what you want.
And thank you, Joe, and I kind of knew that, so that's good input. Thank you, sir.
We were told just to get water, Fort Worth water, to our city limits was $8 million.
That's probably cheap.
I mean, I'd say probably 12, but.
Okay, 8, 12, 20.
So is
We
this
don't want that.
development going
We
to
never
help
had
in
that.
any way?
Well, if we piggyback on some of these other big ones.
We always talk about when the developments want to come in and we compromise and say, okay, smaller lots, they're gonna help us get water from the city to here.
Rooftops,
To
yeah,
we
Yeah.
hear it
yeah.
constantly.
Honestly, that's not been the conversation you've been hearing from staff. You know, what I've been hearing from the council is that rooftops, we need to wait because rooftops are gonna pay for all this in the future some point down the road. That's what the council's been saying. And what I've been trying to tell the council is.
No, every time a development comes in, we always discuss how we can get closer and closer to city water.
Correct. So like in this
Right.
case right here, they're putting in place a public improvement district, which is gonna fund about $274 million for infrastructure. Out of that, I think it was around $75 million was for water and wastewater systems. So they're gonna be using $75 million of their funds, their dollars, which will then be passed on to whoever purchases those properties to do it. Doesn't cost the city anything for that. What we negotiated was the ability of the city to piggyback on top of that. So they're gonna spend $75 million, and the cost to the city to participate was around $5 million. And that was that whole conversation about the tax rate that we were talking about.
Okay.
Do we increase the tax rate a few pennies so that we can increase the size of those pipes and get the water to serve this development and to serve the next developments to bridge the gap until we get another solution to come to the city. So we looked at Upper Trinity, we looked at the city of
Right.
Fort Worth. So we're gonna get surface water here. Surface water will be in New Fairview. And I would say, I could say fairly confidently, within 5 years. you'll
And
have
that's
surface water here.
amazing news to others.
5 years is a long time.
I mean, I'm glad, is this development going to help us get there faster?
Right.
Help us get there at all?
Is
Like
this
you've
the-
asked other developments to help us in that process. Is this development going to help us to get there?
So this development is not going to help us to get water because we're not tying, we're not going to be tying them into our system. We talked about it. We talked about them, you know, having some type of a PID. It's not really big enough for it to make sense for them to step into that type of a situation. You know, those larger projects, they're in it for a 25-year build out, and this development's not a 25-year build. You know, you're talking about a 4 or 5 year, 6 years, 7 years, whatever that looks like. It's just a different dynamic. It's a different financial picture as to how they're going to operate versus these people that are looking at 5 phases, you know, 2 branches, 1.5 miles wide and 3 miles deep. It's going to be a long time in developing. Their time frame and their horizon is completely
They
different.
will pay impact fees to help with the roads and
And they're
water.
gonna generate revenues through the building permits, they're gonna generate revenues through the transportation impact fees, they're gonna generate revenues through the property taxes. So all of those dollars are gonna be helpful for the city in operating, so yeah, they're gonna help us get further down the road, because we don't have any other funding source at this time to piggyback, other than the grant that we received for trying to piggyback on top of these other projects to get more water for the city of New Fairview.
What's the timeline of the widening 407? I know that's not a city issue, but do you know?
They're just now starting the study.
You're talking 12 years down the road.
Yeah, long
It's
time.
20.
No,
So
it's-
you know how, I mean, not that it matters to any of us or to, when you're talking about dollar signs, but 407 is gonna be a nightmare.
That's every city though.
I'm just, that's what I just said.
Yeah,
You
no.
can't-
Yeah,
Yeah, Avondale has it.
Yeah.
And they had control of that.
yeah.
And they still.
So 407 is a little itty bitty
We have
farm
not thrown
market
our
road.
hands up in the air and said we have no control over it, though. If you recall, one of the first meetings that we had was me bringing a person to the table and saying, hey, we need to have somebody out there advocating for the city. of
Well,
New
that's
Jersey.
what we got that.
That's where we got this. So this right here, 18 months for the feasibility study, 4 years for the design of the roads, and probably 11 years for construction. So yeah, it's a decade, it's 12 years away from where we are today. But
I mean, the ones of us that live on the other side of where this is going and have to get to Justin are gonna pay the price.
they're gonna be, the 407 is gonna be under construction for years.
Yeah.
Because
No, I
they've already finished the feasibility study to basically the Denton County line. And this is taking it from Denton County line to 287. So it's gonna be a process for everybody. I mean,
58 for the.
think about the growth we're seeing in Denton, right? On 407. And, they're only 18 months ahead of us. We're in a much better position than all of those other cities that are gonna be dealing with this over the next 10 years.
So I drive Avondale Hazlet into Hazlet all the time. That's actually the road they had control of. They didn't do anything, and they're now almost fully developed. And they're just now working on Avondale Hazlet. So I'd say we're a decade ahead on working these problems, but we're still a decade behind getting a solution.
We're not a decade behind. I mean, you have to consider, what is the population of the people along FM 407 in Denton County compared to what our population is on 407 in Weiss County?
Okay.
We're a decade ahead of the time. I mean, if you want to look at the standpoint of population adjustment and those areas compared to our populations, we're well, much further down the road than they were at this point. And that's because of the intentional actions that the council's taken to make sure that we're moving down that road. If we wouldn't have done that, that feasibility study wouldn't even be on the table. Nobody would even look at
It'll be
it.
years before we could get our foot back in the door.
So,
All right, let's go see if we can get an action to approve the development agreement with Beaten Path Development LLC and authorize the city administrator to execute the agreement.
Mayor, I make a motion that the council votes on item A as written.
A second.
All in favor
Ally.
and all opposed?
No,
No,
Okay, 3, 4, 2 against. Passed. All right, conduct public hearing. We've been pretty much conducting public hearing for the last half hour or so, 45 minutes.
that's true.
You want me to read that?
Given the bunch of annexes probably, I think it'd be far from you to call a public meeting formally. And so there can be a little discussion, give everybody a chance to speak if they want to, then.
Okay.
Then you close it, move forward.
so he was asking this evening to read this out, or can he just open the public hearing for item B?
I just opened it for item B, but I'd make sure we go through that.
Yeah,
All right, so we need to give a time and all that.
yeah.
9:06, open for a public hearing regarding item B. So if there's any discussion from the citizens, that'd be a good time. Joe, do you have anything?
We haven't got any forms.
No forms? All right. Any more discussion amongst the council members?
nobody online wishes to speak.
This is considered, so B and C You see the dotted line, the dark, it's kind of hard to see on there. That's the 15 acres, that's C, and D is the remainder of it, the 142 acres. So that's B and C, combined, the whole thing is 150, whatever it was, 157 acres. So this public hearing is regarding ordinances, amending the zoning ordinance of City of New Fairview and zoning land generally described as for these tracts.
Close annexation.
Annexation is, that's
me.
Well, we're still in the public hearing. right?
yeah,
For annexation.
We'll have a public hearing.
Oh, I see
before
what you're
that.
saying, yeah.
for annexation,
Of the 142.
right? And if we're gonna, I mean, probably combine and see.
Let's just.
Just give it a-
Okay, so there, from the standpoint of the public hearing, you guys have already had all the discussion in
You have
the
all the
previous meeting.
discussion.
So you open the public hearing, if there is no public comment, close the public hearing,
Okay.
and then you can move on to the next item, open, if there is no comment, you can close.
Okay, all right. So if there's no additional comments, last chance, all right, so then we'll close the public hearing on item B
9:10. Pardon? 9:10.
at 9:10. 9:08.
No, I'm faster than you.
All right, now we open for a public hearing on item C for the 14.9 acres, part of that same development area. Anybody who wants to speak or now go ahead and come forward.
So you're gonna open the public hearing at 9:09?
9:09. All right, if there's no additional comments on that, we'll close that at about 9:10. All right, item D, discuss, consider, and act on an ordinance of the City of New Fairview, Texas on the proposed annexation of 142.245 acres of the Smith County Land Survey, locating the city ETJ, generally north of FM 407, between Old Chisholm Trail and Saddle Brook Court.
It's a lot of reading.
A lot of tongue twisters. So any more discussion on this? We've already discussed it, actually quite a bit, but is there any additional
Well,
discussion?
since you're asking for discussion, somebody online did say they had their hand raised several times at the end of the general meeting, even sent emails to Ben to be heard and is being ignored. So I don't know if I'm allowed to help this person.
We post a link to a form that they fill out. That's the process, just like you fill out a form here to get on it. And
His name is Matt Spade.
Well, look, if they're saying they're trying, Ben, and they can't, then
Steve, we have a form that said, just like.
He said he
here,
filled it
you
out.
walk in, you fill out
I
the
have my
form.
hand raised, I've had my hand raised throughout the general meeting and through the beginning of the meeting, and I'm still being ignored. I emailed my comments to Ben. I'm being ignored. Police properties that are being annexed be subject to impact fees is his question.
The answer is
The
yes.
answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. That-
Matt, if you can hear us, the
Yeah,
answer
the
is
answer is
yes.
yes, they will.
John brought that up in the very beginning.
I actually brought that up again.
Yeah.
So,
I just wanted to get it covered.
no, that's fine.
so these poor people are gonna have, impact fees, they're gonna have HOA, or they're gonna have PIDs.
No bid.
No
Yeah,
bids.
that'd be $20,000 a house for the fees.
But that's their choice.
That's their choice. Open Sunday.
Do you want to foot this bill or you want them to foot the bill?
We don't have to foot the bill.
Right.
So that's their choice.
We can't provide service to them. We can't provide service to the people what we have now.
True story.
Because we don't have.
All right, any more discussion? Positive uplifting and discussion?
Golly. Now you got me
Oh,
cornered.
is that why we're here?
Now you got me cornered.
Something positive in the right direction here? All right, do we have, I don't hear any more discussion. Do we have a,
I'll make a motion. that we,
motion?
Approve item D as written.
Okay,
Second.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? No? So 3, 4, 2 against, that's passed. All right, next one, item E. Discuss, consider, and act on a resolution of the city of New Fairview, Texas, approving the annexation services agreement with Wilford and Mary Beck related to the proposal annex of the 142.245 acres of the Smith County School Land Survey. Abstract A 744 from Wise County, Texas, located in the city's ETJ, generally north of 407, same as the other, between Chisholm Trail and Saddlebrook Court. Any discussion on this one?
Not for me.
I make a motion that we accept item E as written.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
All right, pass, 3, 4, 2 against. Item F, discuss, consider, and act on ordinance of the city of New Fairview for the 14.997 acres. That's a smaller rectangle in the area. Similar to the others, but now we're talking about that smaller piece. Any discussion? All right, we have a motion.
I've got a question. I got lost in our deal here. The ordinances to accept them into the city?
This
Yes,
is the proposed annexation.
annexation for the 14.99.
Right, and the resolution is accepting it.
Right.
Okay, I got the difference then. All right, so I'm making motion that we accept item F as written.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed?
No.
Passes 3 to 2. Item G, this is for discuss, consider and act on the resolution of the city of New Fairview, Texas, and Drive, approving the annexation services agreement with Robert and Jennifer Kozlowski. And that's for the 14.9 acres that we're talking about. Any discussion on that?
I make a motion, we accept item G as written.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 3, 4, 2 opposed. Okay, we open the meeting at 9:15 for a public hearing to receive comment regarding the ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the city of New Fairview as amended zoning land generally described. This is for the 142 acre and a 14.9 acre tract out of the Smith County School Land Survey. And we know what's located by now. Any comments from the public on that item?
So this right here is opening the public hearings. We're going to open public hearing at 9:16.
Right. Okay, no comments. We'll close that public hearing at 9:16. Item I, is to discuss, consider, and act on the ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the city of New Fairview as amending zoning 2 parcels of land generally described, the 2 we've been talking about, 142 acre and the 14.9 acre tract of land out of the Smith County School, and we know where it's located. Any discussion?
So this is for the zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
So we just held the public hearing on it. And now this is amending the zoning ordinance, granting down the plan development.
PD status,
Right.
which is covered in the agreement that we've already approved.
Correct.
Okay.
All of the agreements and the development agreement are cross-wired with each other.
Right. Which covers what he walked through on, this is what we're gonna require, that's all part of the plan development. Okay. All right. And this is a single step to do both of them this time.
Yeah, because the zoning is the same for both properties.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve item I as written.
All those in favor?
Any opposed?
No,
Passes 3-2. And the last item prior to the executive session is discuss, consider, and act on resolution of the city council of the city of New Fairview, Texas, amending the budget to include $3,500 for upgrades to the city council chambers. That's here, putting in acoustics and soundproofing material that citizens might be able to hear us better, be less echo, less reverberation, those types of issues that occur.
So my concern on this, because when it comes to spending city money, I'm always gonna have a concern, is that we constantly are doing this. It seems like every other meeting, we're spending more money on the same thing. Is this not aggravating anybody else besides me?
It's kind of a piecemeal solution. We're not gonna spend a large amount of money and fix it all at once, so
We have
we're
spent,
piecemeal.
how much money have we spent on this sort of thing in the last year?
On
Mics and stuff.
Mics and stuff.
Equipment.
$8,000.
This, that.
we've spent $150, and then these have been here for more than a year, but we've spent $2,000 on those
Camera mic.
camera
So
mics.
can we have somebody do some research to find out on how much we've actually spent on this sort of stuff? Because it wasn't that $2,000 here or there. I would have to go back. I didn't have time because I got busy at work today to look at the numbers, but I know we have spent more than $2,000 on this equipment in the last year.
So when I got here, the mic system was already installed. These things that are up here were already installed. All I did was buy one additional set. It's about $60 for those mic sets on Amazon. I bought 2 of them, which was $120. I rounded it up to 150. These are $999 each. That is all I've spent on improving the stuff in this room. Now, the council requested that we go out and get a quote to improve.
45 grand. We
That's,
saw, yeah.
that's what.
So I brought
we
that
saw
back to the council based upon their request to make those improvements in here. It's
And
not.
have we spent that money?
No.
Oh, no,
We
we
haven't spent
denied
any
it.
of that money?
No.
No, we didn't approve
So
it.
how
It was
much
never
would you
even
say,
recommended. That
how
was
much
a-
would you say we've spent in the last year on just equipment?
$1,000, $2,000 plus 150. 2,500.
And honestly, I don't know if that's within the last, that's gonna be within the last 18 months.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember what, so Alan bought,
He bought the mics. When I first got here, we did buy this. This was $600, so that's almost 2 years ago now.
this was already over there.
One of them was already here.
Yeah.
We did the installation. by
Plus we
our own
did the
We did some cameras.
projector.
That was already here. I didn't.
I know,
I
Alan
just
did
mounted
that.
it.
Did add some cameras, but that really doesn't have anything to do with the audio system.
And so the camera system is $600.
So what are we trying to accomplish here? We're trying to make it better so that the online people can hear us better.
Now, we had a system to where we could be online a couple meetings ago, and you guys said that we're not gonna do that anymore because it's too distracting. And you'd no longer let
So that was
people
what the
online,
mics-
you guys no longer let people online comment.
Oh, comment.
Right.
Okay.
So if they're not allowed to interact or comment, or why,
Well, these people aren't either.
Right.
So
You gotta keep it fair. Those that come down to the city hall versus those that are online. I mean, they gotta give them the same.
So that's not what this is. This isn't,
No, this is to fix the echo.
This is actually acoustic panels that we installed
Basically put just flat.
along the ceiling up here, and then some acoustic panels we'll be putting on the walls to try and get rid of the reverberation. Because the hard thing that they're having hearing us is the echoing and the reverberation that are coming back from the mics.
Or the canceling of these mics from that reverberation.
and is this already something budgeted that we have, that
No.
the city spends every year?
No,
Probably.
One thing to,
out of fund balances,
one to think
or
of,
savings account.
something else to think about is, I personally would rather see them come down and fill our city hall up here rather than be
I
online.
agree.
And if we don't fix that, maybe they'll come down and join us. I mean, I would rather have that.
So let me make it clear though, this is not me driving this. I did not ask to
No,
spend $25,000. I did not ask to spend $3,500.
I'm just asking what we've spent so far.
Here's another reason why we need to do it beyond the virtual meeting aspect, is we make a video recording that we use public.
It's record.
And
You're right.
we have very poor audio even in that. We need to have a higher quality.
But those are not our official minutes. Our official minutes are the written minutes of the meeting. And so I agree with you. I would love to be able to improve it. And this right here is the low cost, solution to try and make an improvement.
Now, since it is a little talk.
It is a very low cost.
It is. What is the end result?
Yeah,
How much is it?
right.
I can't tell you that because this is basically looking at installing acoustic paneling on everything that you see in the black from here forward and putting acoustic paneling up here. Because you guys are the ones that are generating it. We're trying to absorb all that before it bounces off and echoes back to the.
So all the wall here, on this wall,
Not on all the walls, it'll be paneling that we would put into it
It
along the
would
wall.
break
It
this
helps
surface.
to break it up.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be the whole room. If we did the whole room, you'd be looking at probably closer to $10,000. And at that point, I can tell you, yeah, you'd make a huge difference. I mean, you have basically a recording studio quality almost in what it would sound like.
I don't think we have $10,000 to do it that way.
And that's my next question. Do we have this money?
Yeah, we have fund balance. $3,500 would not impact our reserve requirement that we have.
Come out of savings.
Yeah, comes out of savings.
So I have no reason about trying to help these people, and they get really frustrated online.
No, I don't know.
I agree with.
I know.
I just don't want to spend the money and then still have the same problem.
Yeah.
It seems like you spend money on stuff and we're still having the same issues.
Well, so what you guys are not recalling is what it was like before we put these systems in place.
I've never been online, so I don't.
It was way first year than we have now.
It's more.
So we've made iterative improvements and people are now used to this. They said, now this is terrible. But if you take it and compare it to what we started with, it's a vast improvement.
I can't see $3,500. So you're gonna have the maintenance guy glue them up?
Yeah.
So that's
Is it
how
worth
much they
it to you?
cost?
What's it gonna glue to?
The panels are about 50 cents a square foot is what we're.
Heat glue?
Yeah, you can glue all that. That's just painted insulation, and that's just insulation on the,
Spray foam.
yeah.
I thought you were coming down to where the
No, it's
black
gonna,
stops.
it's gonna go directly onto the surface.
Yeah.
That was in $40,000. Or 35, we just do it.
12-inch squares?
Yeah,
My God, that's gonna take a long time.
Well, if we can get that done for
They just
35.
drop up off the ceiling, just put those regular 4x2x4 squares up there and bring the lights and hang them.
we could do that.
That would cost them money.
That's more expensive. You guys told me low cost option.
Yeah. No, if you want to suspend the ceiling and put everything in it, that's gonna cost quite a bit of money. I don't know what the cost is, but it's not cheap.
That's the cheaper option.
Is it worth $2,500?
Not cheaper.
10%?
If it's going to, that's the
Well,
ticket. If it's gonna work,
right.
yes.
10%, is that what you said?
No, I'm just spitball. If it made a 10% improvement, would it be worth $3,500?
And I don't
Well,
think
I was in here when it rained just plain old rain.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, you can't even carry the meeting on. We
Hey,
had to
when
stop.
it was hailing, remember what was hailing?
That,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was,
but even just rain,
Yeah.
it is, you can't hear.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when there was the hail, then
You can,
Okay.
you can attribute the pole barn to the former mayor, because this was not what I wanted to build.
So if you want to really go and do a better job, you would put mass loaded vinyl down underneath, and then you put the baffles on top of it. Mass loaded vinyl will do more to dampen the sound from the outside. We're talking about dampening from the inside.
Right, give it a
it's gonna look like aesthetically, look like we're.
It's gonna be
It looked like a recording studio, egg crazy.
Actually, this is,
We didn't want to put a.
it's baffling.
Yeah.
See.
I know, it's kind of got cone shapes.
No, it's just,
No, it's so Joe.
it's just gonna be lined to different levels, so it breaks it up. And it's gonna be in the black. Right now, you can't see most of it.
No, I'm talking about around the corner.
On the walls, it's gonna be almost identical part pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ceiling's gonna, if you shoot all the way around, it wouldn't like it, but the ones we're gonna go wall are for really decorative.
steel
Cover.
I'm for it.
Have you seen those trusses?
So, I mean,
Oh, they're terrible.
Is that right?
I'm surprised they didn't and falling there.
All right. All right, we've had a lot of discussion. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve item J. As written.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor? All those in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed?
no, I might as well be 100%.
We are, Steve.
Passes 4-1. All right.
Somebody did have a question that if the next session can be handled in public,
Down to the
if that's an
chair.
option or not. I just wanted to be said so the citizens can hear us, that it cannot be handled in public. There you go, citizens.
So
Well,
what was
I
this?
just-
Sorry.
With the trusses.
The citizens requested if we could do this in public so they can hear.
how they're gonna do it to it?
Yeah,
So I had to ask.
you got an 8-inch truss up there. Trusses.
So
Then go in.
you'll glue it, you'll set it off. Yeah, it's a spray glue. You'll spray onto it and you spray it on the surface and then you spray it onto the surface of both.
With contact cement.
You let it sit for 30 seconds and then you attach it and it's,
there.
yeah.
So at 9:29, we're gonna go to the executive session. That's important.
Oh, thank you for asking. Wasn't.
Thank you for coming.
Somebody dropped some mail.
That's me.
Oh,
Yeah, shopping.
thank you. I was afraid I just did something in. I lost my top. Have no worries. Oh, the gentleman in the back?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
One that had the.
So he wanted that to go.
Sure, he's making some.
You probably make a pitch. Middle of the third quarter, it's still Magnus, Alabama.
Yeah, is it important going on? Yeah, I mean, so.
Yeah, Friday night.
And have one of those, it's one of those.
Where'd you go? All right, well, put your phone out here, Ben. Put your phone up there.
Somebody needs to do recording. Yeah, you take that. No, there okay.
I didn't think I would leave it. Coat on, I'm gonna stand here and tell it. My father always said, stand there and look and tell it.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. Happy New Year.
Drive careful.
Scott, did you struggle with that?
Yes, I still struggle with that. I tell my 11-year-old Christopher, I go, stand there and look intelligent. He goes, what does that mean? I go, you'll figure it out, son. When you do, then you'll look intelligent.
Is no one in the restroom?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't see him in there.
Yeah, I struggled with that for a long time. I still. I guess we need the mayor to make a motion.
I mean, it's his meeting. John acts in behalf of the mayor's absence, so.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? How's that?
You going out back door? You can unlock the front door. It's just when we were in there, I didn't want to spin it around. You can put the big door right there.
Oh, you want that door, that thing sucks. Oh, that door sucks.
Still got these all right.
Hey, Larry, could I have a minute?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or just say back on the justice, I want to make sure.
I was looking at my calendar wrong. I have a meeting with them on next Tuesday.
Oh, right.
You and I.
Yeah, we were 526 with a 3-yard bucket on it out there. And we moved, shoot, to almost 300 cubic yards of dirt. Had fun for a day and a half.
Bye.